good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, not morning anymore. Afternoon, maybe morning in some parts of the world. I don't know. But yeah, how y'all doing? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we're watching the we're gonna watch Games Workshop potentially screw up a reveal show today. That is starting in 1 hour from now. For now, we will just yap. We will merely chat. We will merely shoot the shit and talk about it. Hey, Keen, how you doing? Also, hello there to Mech, Zeph, and Carl, and who are chatting before the stream actually started, because I can see you there on the restream chat. How you guys doing? Yeah. So you like my new intro card for Games Workshop reveal shows? I made it myself. I think I'm going to use that one from now on whenever I do these. It's really apt. Let's get down. Let's be real with ourselves here, okay? It's a GW reveal. We're watching. We're watching what they're going to screw up. Yeah, exactly. Listen. I'll just say, if they do the female Custodes thing again, like I was saying on yesterday's stream, pretty safe bet they will, because they don't know what the fuck their customers want. They better not fuck up Deathwatch, because they've teased Deathwatch shit. If they somehow lame it out with Deathwatch and do that, then yeah, just Jesus. Like, come on, man. Deathwatch have suffered enough. Like, you couldn't possibly make it worse, short of just outright getting rid of the faction. And before it's Grey Knights refresh, you fell for the Combat Patrol. Here's a new box. I don't know when they're going to refresh Grey Knights. Maybe next edition. I don't know. I honestly don't think they're going to refresh them for a while, really. The Grey Knights aren't that bad in terms of scale versus, like say the Horus Heresy Firstborn. And they very specifically have said they want to keep Grey Knights Firstborn. Now, unless they change that, I mean, maybe. But, as it currently stands, the Grey Knight kits are kind of like the Grey Knight kits as they stand are kind of like the current plastic Custodes. They're perfectly fine. There's really no reason to make new ones. Love the Grey Knights, funny looking guys. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, when that Codex drops, I may actually temporarily switch to Grey Knights as a main faction. Like, because I don't know, I haven't played them as a main faction in literal years since my hobby store days. So yeah, because like I was saying yesterday, they were my second faction, and they remain a favorite of mine. And in that ultimate irony of ultimate ironies, once again, one of my least favorite 40k authors put out one of their most banger novels, which is The Emperor's Gift. I like your plastic stones. Give me plastic bits for them. Okay, gotcha. The Custodes plastics are going to get revealed no matter what. I genuinely think they're going to limit it to the minis that are currently resin. Like, that's what I think they're gonna change. So the resin Terminators, the flying guys, they're probably gonna come out with a weapon upgrade kit with the bolters and the Adrathic and Melta spears, that kind of stuff. And probably the tanks and the dreads, probably that too. If Sisters of Silence don't get new shit though, one way or another, I'm gonna fucking riot. I will actually riot, Like, fuck's sake, quit ignoring the Sisters of Silence, GW. What is wrong with you? They're fucking rad. Also great on tabletop. They are just imagine playing Aquila from Mecha Break, you shoot and run away. Now listen, when I play Grey Knights, I play them in your face. Like, teleporting in, beating the crap out of things, burning things alive with psychic powers, that kind of cool stuff. One moment. Checking my audio. Text speech to the stream, point redeems, Discord. Okay, yeah. Right, okay. I was just making sure. Okay, because I had to make sure the media share for the watch along is set because of how I'm doing my audio now. Again, shout out to Millie for helping me learn how to set that up. She knows her audio stuff, but I was completely blind on. Look, I want sister with meltas. You want to make them a sort of don't get near me. Yeah, basically. I mean, there's so much they could do with sisters, like units units. Hey, Heliosphere, how you doing? Like units they could add. Like they add in Horus Heresy 2nd edition, they added a bunch of new units, but then they never gave them models. We dunking on GW. That will be based entirely on how well they do, Vincam. They are under review today. The company is under review by me and anybody who is an actual fan of Warhammer. To WOG or not to WOG? Now listen, the answer is always to WOG. It doesn't matter what you're WOGing against, as long as you're WOGing against something. Alright. Excuse me. WOG is life, yes. Define well. That's gonna depend on your definition of the word is. But in all seriousness, yeah. I think, yeah, it's gonna be, like I said, it's gonna be based entirely on the reveals. Like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I'm guessing at. If the Death Watch stuff they teased isn't Kill Team related, I'll be very surprised. No idea. Okay, Warhammer 40k will probably be the new Space Marine stuff in Leagues of Votan. I don't really know what Age of Sigmar could be because I don't really care. It's kind of the same with Underworlds. Old World, I really have no idea at this point unless they finally reveal Kislev. Black Library, my prediction is on either the Scouring, what do you call it? The Scouring becoming a novel series, Pandemonium, the last Beckwin novel, and maybe some kind of follow-up to the Dawn of Fire series, because that's over now. You're really hoping for the Scouring? Me too, honestly. More new Space Marines. They basically said it's basically all but confirmed they're going to do a Space Marine Codex 2.0. Failing that, they're going to do individual books for each first founding chapter. So, yeah, it's really going to depend. Yeah, so it will either be, straight up a new, a new codex with new supplements for it, or it's gonna be, just the supplements and new models to go with them. If there aren't first founding chapter supplements, I'll be surprised. But of course, Games Workshop is fucked up harder this edition than that, so yeah. Man, I didn't sleep well last night, still waking up a little bit. Only two things to know about from the Scouring is the Night Lords getting their shit pushed in hard by the Ultramarines chapters, then getting raided by the Ashen Claws and the Iron Cage. Yeah, it's like, I don't really know how, because there's a lot of material to put in the Scouring, but I don't really know how entertaining it would be, because a lot of it is just going to be the traitors taking L's. Because that's kind of the whole point of the Scouring, is it's the big Imperium counterattack against Chaos, and just Chaos losing over and over and over until they're pushed back into the eye. So, yeah. The Year of Chaos gives all Loyalists new chapter masters and HQs. Yeah, something like that. I swear to God, and I've been saying this, if Imperial Agents hadn't flopped the way it did, there probably would have been no Chaos Demons Index either. They were probably going to squat Chaos Demons as an independent faction, realized how hard they fucked up with Imperial Agents, and then were like, oh shit, and released the index. And there will probably be Death Watch and Imperial Death Watch and Chaos Demons Codex's next edition. After the PR disaster of late, I expect them to double down. Which PR disaster? Which PR disaster? Female Custodes, the Tithes, Imperial Agents, squatting Death Watch, the social media fuck up from a day or two ago. I mean, you could like pick one. I mean, like, remember, we learned. I mean, we learned when they fucked up with dropping that Twitter post that, you know, they can post on Twitter, they just don't. Like, yeah. I mean, the Japanese Twitter is still open. Games Workshop, I said this in my whole last video on it. Games Workshop social media is a joke. It is a borderline uncontrolled part of the company. Like it basically practically they just do whatever they want. There's no oversight almost. And I'm also under the impression they hire almost exclusively from Nottingham University. So yeah, if you're wondering about the politics of the people who post there, that's all you need to know. Very liberal British college. Wasn't there another one with them dropping all business in Ukraine due to piracy? That one I did not hear of, but that would be funny, especially after they so funny story. There was going to be a Warhammer fan animation they picked up, along with all the other ones they pointed a gun at and said, "You're working for us now or we'll sue you." And they basically it was called Primaris, the Last Templar. It was like a Black Templar fan animation. They picked up the production, they picked up the crew working on that, and they hey hipster, how you doing? They picked up the team working on that for Warhammer Plus. And then in 2022, when the Ukraine conflict kicked off, they completely they dropped the contract with the team and canceled the animation and told no one. We only found out later because the team who were working on it told people. Yeah. Because they for the record, the people working on it were Russian. They completely dropped the team after hiring them on. And yeah, it's like I know some people be like, yeah, the Russian got owned. It's like, no, these people are not soldiers. They are people, they are Warhammer fans who are working on a passion project who got promised that their project would be supported by Games Workshop until it became politically inconvenient, and then they dumped them like a sack of hammers. So yeah, this ain't even because I'm a Black Templar fan. This is all like basic fucking principles and human decency, is that you don't do that. Not everyone in Russia supports. Yeah, of course, no, not everyone in Russia supports the war. But when you got like popular Australian YouTubes hooking up with Vouch to jerk off to a Ukrainian war porn live on stream, I mean, hey, some people are honestly the people who the NAFO people and the people who are all about like getting off to the war footage of Russians dying are honestly worry me more than the Russians. But all the same, GW dumping all business in Ukraine because of piracy is just as shitty. Because, like, what are they gonna start doing when, real talk, though. Maybe if Warhammer was affordable in other parts of the world, this wouldn't be a problem. Like, I was going on about it the other day, again, about Warhammer pricing versus, like, other model companies, like, fucking, Bandai Namco and the shit they do. Like, hold on, let me bring this up. Oh, that's huge. All right, let me, is this gonna pop up or am I gonna have to, okay, no, I'm gonna have to adjust it, hold on. Is this it? Yeah. Like, this is something I brought up the other day. Look at this. Look at the price points between these. This is actually ridiculous. You got a very highly detailed, highly posable 130 millimeter plastic model kit. That's $49. And then you've got a 50 millimeter not posable, entirely, static design model kit for $51. And that's assuming you're buying it, a part of the world where GW doesn't completely fuck you on prices. Like, at Games Workshop, maybe those Ukrainians were pirating because shit is so unbelievably expensive in their part of the world. Ever think of that? Maybe you should stop creating the problem and then making the problem worse with your boneheaded responses to the problem, 3 inches, by the way, for non-metric people. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for people who use freedom units. Heard that the same people who was pushing GW products was also leaking them to pirates. Or publishing GW products. Well, I mean, okay, but you don't punish the entire Ukrainian people for that. You fire the people responsible and you hire new ones. Like, what kind of fucking overcorrection is that? Like, Jesus Christ. It's a major thing most tabletop fans don't really get. Yeah, I get the minis, but I also have to convince 1 or 2 people to also get the minis. Yeah, like, honestly, Games Workshop is Games Workshop is the biggest gatekeeper in Warhammer just through the pricing. They gatekeep financially because, I mean, do I even really need to say this again? What is on display in this image right now? Do I even need to? Like, holy just fuck, dude. Anyway. The license will end in 2026, so I think they'll announce a new publisher around that time. Whose license? Like, whose license is expiring? It's a major thing most tabletop fans don't really get. Yeah, I just read that, hipster. I'm having a early onset dementia moment. GW has its flaws, but Bandai keeps making me suffer with P. Bandai. I'm not American. I don't want to be gimped. Okay, now listen. P. Bandai may suck. Like, it may suck hard. It's still not as bad as Games Workshop. Nothing will be. Pour myself some liquid encouragement here. I get the feeling it's going to be one of those kinds of reveal shows. By liquid encouragement, I mean Diet Coke. They paywall the Acoas decals for the Gigans with P Bandai. Oh yeah, that must suck. Gunpla is not a good replacement. $2 difference. Okay, I'm going to go back. Austrian guy, I want you to look very carefully at the image. It is a $2. GW is $2 more expensive for a model less than half the size. You can't pose. You have to paint yourself. And the Gunpla is $2 less for a posable, detailed 130 millimeter model kit that's already colored. I mean, if you say that's not a better deal, you're just fucking crazy. I don't know what to tell you. You're just wrong. There's no room for opinion or discussion. You're just wrong. I don't know how to tell you otherwise. You love the drink sound. I've got Waterman. I'm with you there. Yeah. Listen, part of me is really glad I swore off alcohol before I hit 21 because, I don't know, sometimes covering GW shit wants to drive me to drink. I really never got into drinking. I can count the number of alcoholic drinks I've had in my entire 42 years on one hand, and I have a finger left over. So yeah. What if they just prove you wrong and they go, here's the Scouring range for second founding chapters. Here's fully playable Templars for Horus Heresy just to spite you. I mean, okay, look. Well, okay, when it comes to Horus Heresy on tabletop, let's just get down to brass tacks, okay? They're gonna need to go into the Scouring. You wanna know why? They can't sustain Horus Heresy forever off the lore as it currently stands, because they're launching, they've launched 3rd edition after the novels have ended. All the lore is used up. Like, maybe there's like other minor battlefields they could pivot to. Because I mean, for one thing, like the whole focus this edition starting out is the drop site massacre, Istvan 5. But there's they really can only do so much before they start retreading ground, you know? They didn't do Istvan before. So Istvan was an available source of like a rules book for Horus Heresy. But eventually they're going to have to do something, right? They're going to have to do something if they want to keep Horus Heresy going. And that means they're going to have to pivot into the Scouring. It's inevitable. Because they don't want to cover the Unification Wars. They don't want to cover the Great Crusade. So it's going to have to be the Scouring. Sucker works so you can't drink anyway. Yeah, I get that. 3rd edition, they had Xenos, imagine. Maybe. It would really depend on what role Xenos play in the Scouring, which I don't think we really know what role they play overall. Because remember, the Imperium beat back Xenos so unbelievably hard that the Orcs didn't become a threat again until the War of the Beast. The Orcs were basically gone after the Triumph at Ulanor. Not gone, but gone to the point where it was like, you know, the Imperium really didn't really have to give a shit anymore. Some Xenos could be added. Orcs Eldar, Dark Eldar existed, and there were some special ones like on Murder. That's true. I mean, the Mega Arachnids, as far as we know, never left Murder, so they wouldn't really be much of a threat off of Oh, Jesus Christ. It's about an 8 out of 10. Let's see. Yeah, the Mega Arachnids never really left Murder, though, so they wouldn't really be that much of a threat, unless they had a way to leave, but we never really found out. On a side note, fuck this fucking heat. Oh, yeah, no, yeah, peak summer right now. I know Eldar still do shenanigans. Deldar making a con go, I'll outdrift these knife-eared bastards. That's true. So Eldar could show up. Don't know about Orcs, just because, again, Orcs were so beaten back, they weren't really even considered a threat by the Imperium. And that's how they blindsided the Imperium during the War of the Beast. And the fact that the Eldar deliberately obfuscated them to try and wipe the Imperium out. People forget that about the War of the Beast. Dark Eldar would be having a time in Horus Heresy. Yeah, but... But the other problem is, too, unless Games Workshop is pivoting back away from it, they really got a problem having, you know, models used in multiple systems. Like, I've been told that is why they were going to get rid of Chaos Demons, because they don't want to have demons used in both 40K and 40K and Age of Sigmar. But they obviously went back on that because they released the index. The one that actually worries me, though, is Demons of the Ruinstorm. I don't really know how they're going to do that, because the current rumors that Custodes will release in a box alongside Demons of the Ruinstorm, and that will be the War in the Webway box set. Like, that's the current rumor for Custodes. See, I mean, the whole book of Rabute Gilman was a war against the Orc Empire in the middle of nowhere. That's true. Well, I don't know. Maybe orcs could show up. Maybe orcs could show up. Like maybe they could find a way. But again, if they're adhering to the history as established, the orcs weren't that big a presence before the War of the Beast, unless they decide to move into the War of the Beast at some point, which would be kind of funny. I remember so many people tried to say the War of the Beast wasn't canon, and then it got name dropped twice in like a short span of time in modern 40K. It's like, hey, nope, canon, bitches. We're not going to mention how the orcs held Terra hostage with a moon or something. That was the War of the Beast. That was well after Horus Heresy and the Scouring. Like, by that point, all the Primarchs were basically considered dead. Dead or missing. So, yeah. Look, I wanted a car, but now you make me postpone it. When have GW ever cared about their lore? I mean, the thing is, Mac, with GW caring about their lore, it really depends on who you got writing the individual book. Some people, like Aaron Dembski-Bowden, have straight up said they do not care about 40K lore. And as far as they're concerned, 40K lore doesn't, in his own words, does not exist. So, yeah. There's a reason Games Workshop keeps that motherfucker on a short leash when they need him writing the Imperium. And even then, sometimes they let him off of it with garbage-ass books like the Spears of the Emperor or whatever that is. That book is so ass. What am I most excited to see? Honestly, out of everything, the Death Watch. What they're going to do with the Death Watch. Like, I think it's going to be a kill team kit that will, of course, be usable in 40K as well. And the rumor is currently that it will be paired with a new Necron kit as well. All right, I should check the Games Workshop tweeter. Okay, they are still doing the championships right now. Saturnine doesn't exist, yet here we are. No, okay. Okay, got you. The deal with Saturnine armor is that we had the pictures of it. It existed. It's just a lot of people thought that armor wasn't Saturnine Terminator armor. And that turns out, oh, guess what? It is Saturnine Terminator armor. So that was the deal there. Saturnine armor existed. We just never got it on tabletop. And it was at best a footnote. It was at most a footnote, but it existed. It was in the lore. We just had no confirmation on whether the suit everyone thought was Saturnine armor was Saturnine armor. Imagine they're adding Interrex. They wouldn't add Interrex. Interrex are already gone. The Interrex were a very small faction. Like, there's a reason the Horus's expeditionary fleet, won so easily against them, because there wasn't really much. They weren't really that big a threat on the wide scale. I checked the prices for the Mecha Break Falcon kit. Holy crap, it's $120. That better be a hell of a kit. Hold on. Mecha Break Falcon kit. Oh, it's on USAGs. Okay. Oh, it's 109 on USAGs. I will say, though, very detailed kit. I honestly kind of like it. Honestly, I hope they do more Mecha Break kits. I'd love to get an Aquila kit, or a Leasness kit. But yeah, excited for GW release female Space Marines this release. Joke. Okay, that whole thing with the new rule book for Horus Heresy, not mentioning that Space Marines can only be men is so hilarious, because, like, listen, and this is, I think a lot of people realize this, Space Marine rulebooks have not always reiterated the fact they can only be men, because it doesn't need to be reiterated. It's one of the foundations of the lore of Space Marines. They don't need to reiterate it. So the people try to jump, so like the people like Wargamer trying to, you know, jump on it as some kind of win for tourists like them is ridiculous, because, okay, let's go back to 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th edition. Let's go back, yeah, or even 9th edition, I think. Don't mention the need for Space Marines to be men, you know, in Warhammer 40k. Did that change the lore? No, it didn't. So, yeah, just because it's not brought up doesn't mean it's not canon. When you change the lore, that's when you need to constantly reaffirm it in order to keep it, you know, keep it canon. That's why it's so, you know, questionable that apparently female Custodes were this big thing they were planning all along, but they have no models, they have no art, all they have is 2 mentions in the Codex and the Tides. Everything Custodes related since then has directly contradicted the retcon with only male Custodes, or saying that Custodes are all men. So, yeah, the retcon has not been reaffirmed in almost, in like over a year, almost over a year now, in over a year, because the retcon has not been affirmed. That's why there's doubt as to whether it's canon. And even if they add minis today, that's just one step. It's like, okay, you have minis. So what? Now you need to tell us where they came from. Where were they during all the Horus Heresy books? How did they create them when previously it only worked on men? You know? Now you need to start explaining their existence. There are 5-6 steps left before they can be accepted as canon. They got to do way more before our female Custodes can be accepted as canon, even if they add models. This is not a just put models on the tabletop and it's done situation. And all the people who want female Custodes don't want to admit that to themselves. They don't want to admit it to themselves. You can't just put the minis there in this situation and say, oh, it's canon now. That's not good enough. Now you need to explain the lore. You need to explain the lore in detail. You need to explain how things changed, and if they were always there, where were they? You know, you have way more you got to do. So, and honestly, I don't think GW is willing to commit to that. Even if there are female Custodes minis today, I don't think they're ever going to commit to that. And until they commit to that, female Custodes will remain non-canon. That's how simple it is. If they make Femmarines, I'm selling my Templars and getting Bob. Female Space Marines would probably be the thing that makes me quit Warhammer. Like, because at that point it's all upriver. Like they've sold it upriver. That really is the canary in the coal mine. I know we're talking GW, but we would like to hear your opinion on Project Morningstar and their new preview. I have not seen their new preview, actually. I didn't know they did a new preview. But Project Morningstar is fucking rad. So I'm going to check that now. Okay, you know what? Hold on. You know what? We're actually going to watch this now while we wait for the reveals to start. All right, yeah, okay. So this is the new preview, which I have not seen.
Feeling the burn from that third-grade protein steak? Don't risk losing a day of pay. Reach for the brand you trust. Reach for Lozade, the best digestion relief in civil space from Five Hands Panceuticals. Lozade is the only gastrostabilizer with patented foaming technology that uses your own juices to produce a triple-action barrier between your gut and the gunk. Whether it's expired swine, badly formatted meat slurry, or over-irritated Vitapaste, you can rely on these little guys to draw out what you need and flush what you don't. You can trust tributary ace combat pilot Asanjo Portsa of the 28th Kantar Regiment as he secures a more profitable future in the Hexetica system.
I have to trust in my wingman and my own judgment with every cluster bomb I drop, but I couldn't do it without Lozade to keep me in the seat.
The #1 trust brand in the Hegemon for neutralizing acid and restoring your core sense of self. Now in generic berry flavor.
Warning, do not use Lozade if you are allergic to Lozade. Allergic reaction to Lozade may cause severe skin reactions including skin reddening, blisters, or rash. If an allergic reaction occurs, seek immediate consultation of 5 hand certified medical professional. Do not use Lozade if you have trouble with pain or swallowing food, heartburn, lightheadedness, sweating, or dizziness, chest or shoulder pain with shortness of breath, swelling, or pain starting to arms, neck, or shoulders, frequent chest pains, are breastfeeding or pregnant, headache or dizziness, discolored urine, blood or cloudy stool, clotting in saliva or mucus, swelling of tongue or eyes, autocytosis, hypoanesthesia lasting longer than 2 days, AGUCM lasting longer than 2 days, priapism lasting for 4 hours or more. These may be signs of serious conditions. Consult your 5 hand certified medical professional immediately.
Wow! Lozade, brought to you by 5 Hands Panceuticals, a family company.
God, honestly, I love the grimdark corporate dystopia of the Project Morningstar setting. But shout out to the guys that make it. Also, shout out to Gunner Guy VA, one of my mutuals on Twitter. He's one of the voice actors for this. Good shit. Good shit. All right, let's swap back over to Warhammer Tweech and see how they're doing. All right. Nope, they're not set up yet. Remember Trench Crusade? They're supposed to release 1.0 this summer. I mean, good luck, I guess. I mean, what else am I supposed to say to them? They're really half-assing their release. They've killed all their public support. I mean, their social media reach. So, good luck. What more can I say? I mean, they're trying to crawl themselves out of a pit of their own creation. But I mean, hey, they can shoot their shot. Although it's funny, they complain that they can't release a proper game because Games Workshop has a monopoly on the that people can't compete against, but they'll release it anyway. Like, if Games Workshop has a monopoly, you literally can't release anything. So way to defeat your own argument as to why you're half-assing all your shit. Honestly, saying Games Workshop has a monopoly is just an excuse to like not really try. The Trench Crusade rulebook has been delayed twice now. Hey, listen, expect it to be delayed thrice, maybe 4 times. That wouldn't surprise me. Come to Heavy Gear, embrace North versus South racism. At this point, honestly, I'm waiting for Gundam Assemble if I'm gonna get into anything mech related. I will be a bold-faced UC purist in Gundam Assemble. Man, it gives me RoboCop vibes. What's it called? Project Morningstar is like I said, it's really cool. Go look up their YouTube. It's a cool little thing they're cooking up there. They really didn't do anything since the map situation. Man, the map situation was so funny because the audience they catered jumped down their throat over it and called them a bunch of what do you call it? Anti-Islamic racists because of where they positioned the demons invading. Like, well, Trench Crusade, this is the audience you wanted. They hate you. I hope, good luck. From the bottom of my heart, good luck. What pit did they create? Okay, let's see. They told their entire potential fan base they don't want them. They banned their entire potential fan base from their Discord. They said that they are not going to attempt to actually release a game. They're just going to kind of nebulously put it out in the world and see what happens, which is just going to lead someone stealing their ideas from them and making a better version of it. They're charging like $400 or more for the STLs for the miniatures. Not the miniatures, the STLs. The miniatures themselves are even more egregiously overpriced. It makes Games Workshop shit look cheap. They courted a woke left-wing audience that now hates them for supposed racism and anti-Islamic sentiments. they destroyed their social media reach by leaving Twitter and focusing almost solely on Blue Sky. So yeah, it's a laundry list, dude. Not to mention they started leaning heavily into the whole actually the people who worship God are the bad guys element. Like come on, dude. You are trying so hard to destroy your own success. It's like, honestly, I think I'm so convinced that I'm convinced now that Trench Crusade is not an actual legitimate thing. It's a social experiment. It's a social experiment. It has to be. How much can we make deluded morons believe in this obviously incompetently handled product? Like, they're trying to beat Games Workshop in the incompetent handling department. Let's be real, if they didn't put it in England, they would have been... If they didn't put it in England, they would have been pissed no matter what. Yeah, probably. But you can't please these people. If GW had a monopoly, Trench Crusade would be sued into oblivion before they could say damn. Yeah. If GW had a monopoly, we would not be getting a brand new tabletop game in the form of Gundam Assemble. There would be nothing like, War Machine, Hordes, Trench Crusade itself, as we mentioned. Kings of War, I think, is another one. There wouldn't be so many. There are a lot of tabletop games. It's just that one gets all the media attention. But there's a bunch out there. People just don't know they exist. So yeah, no, they don't own a monopoly. Like, at all. In no objective sense of the term. Politics, basically. Yeah, politics. The Trench Crusade is too mired in politics to succeed now. They could have left the politics in, behind, but they were like, oh no, let's dive even deeper into politics. And then, not to mention, they basically they turned Trench Crusade into a culture war at the game. Was it Gamescom? No. It was where they did that panel where they basically said, the right-wing influencers hate us. It's like, yeah, no shit. Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe it's because you actively attack them. Maybe that's why. Maybe you courted a war and now you're mad that people are fighting you. Maybe that's why. Maybe you shouldn't have done that. Maybe you should have kept your fucking head down. Holy shit. They deserve an award for worst optics in tabletop gaming. And this is competing, by the way, with Games Workshop and Catalyst Game Labs. So the fact they're number one in that regard is saying something. Well, what's it say about the state of Battletech that when I was going through that list of tabletop games, I didn't list Battletech? Man, rip. Shot themselves in the foot with a heavy bolter. Bruh, they used a fucking Nova cannon on their foot. There is no foot. There is no planet where the foot was sitting on. It's all gone. Not to mention, if memory serves, the devs said nothing is canon, and it just opens too many unwanted doors. Okay, so they're trying to do the Trench Crusade is no canon. Well, then they can't do anything to add. Oh, hold on. Okay, guys. We are switching gears now. The big summer preview is next, so hold up, everyone. Where? All right, hold up. Here we go. I'm going to, as soon as I can, I'm going to full screen this, if it'll let me. I guess I don't want to have the fucking comments on. God damn it. There we go. Close enough. Don't make me sad about Battletech. I mean, listen, man. Battletech will live forever as long as there's people circulating the tapes with regards to the classic rulebooks and shit. Battletech is never gonna die. It's too out in the open now. for Catalyst to really have a say. GW last had monopoly over war games in Europe like 20 years ago. GW employee would come to smaller guys and do something like, your orc suspiciously like our orc and trying to ape our war boss and boys with your cheaper alternative. Are you trying to see us in court? And smaller guys would shit themselves. And okay, but that's not really a legal monopoly. That's not a legal monopoly in the objective sense. That is basically just, because here's the thing. Games Workshop can't actually win in court if you take them to court. I was saying this yesterday. They can't actually win in court if they take you to court. They will lose in court. They have lost in court. The thing is, though, they rely on the fact that most people they go after can't afford to take them to court. That's the trick. That's their secret sauce. They rely on the fact that, you can't afford to take GW to court. And, they use that fear. But the fear is ultimately only lasts until someone can take them to court. Like what happened with Arch Warhammer. Because remember, he could have legitimately destroyed the Warhammer brand. He had the ability, he just chose not to. Because he's too fucking nice. And Arch, I've said this before, if you're ever watching this for some reason, you should have done it. You should have pulled the trigger. That's all I'm going to say. You should have taken him to court and sued their ass. You should have obliterated Warhammer. It would have been the funniest fucking thing. That is honestly the only thing I'll really ever hold against you. Send in the Goon Squad, I guess. Listen, I'd love to watch Games Workshop lose in court again, like they did with the the Chapter House situation. That was so fucking funny. It was actually so fun. Oh. Hold on. Okay. Oh, we're gonna turn off the stream music. All right. I don't know if he can, is the, there it goes. Okay, yeah. Can y'all hear the audio for the stream, for the Warhammer stream on their end? Okay, good. I wanted to make sure it was all set up. Still got to pay like No Guts, No Galaxy, poor guy. Yeah, he did. Yeah, pay for a lawyer. Yeah, nah, man, he didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve that to happen to him. And honestly, fuck Games Workshop for going after him. Wasn't even Warhammer 40k related. Again, they tried to do to him what they did to Arch, which is sue over the use of the term Warhammer, which is not a copyrightable term. Games Workshop does not own the copyright to the term Warhammer. All right, but yeah. I'm honestly hoping one day Games Workshop fucks up severely with their lawfare and gets taken down. That would be legitimately awesome. Arch agrees he should have nuked them. Well, I mean, yeah, he should have. He really should have. Arch is alright, but I cannot stand the people he associates with. V is insufferable, and so is, and you're so glad Dev got blown the fuck out. Listen, I'm just saying, when it comes to short fat otaku, it's just a matter of time before the allegations happen. That's all I'm saying. The term Warhammer's been used for at least 1,500 years. I mean, yeah, they can't copyright it. Big Summer Preview shows 5 models. I'm kind of expecting that, honestly. Turn that down a bit. Are we expecting some Necromunda stuff? I don't think Necromunda is in the, I don't think that's on the itinerary for this one. let me look real quick. Oh, there's a teaser image out now. Well, you know what? I wonder if they posted that. I wonder if they posted that on. I wonder if they posted that on Twitter. That would be fucking hilarious if they actually did a Twitter post. I doubt it though, but yeah. Yeah, nope, no Twitter post. We know they can post on Twitter, they just don't. All right, one moment, everyone. I gotta. There we go. Necromunda has that. Remember the year of chaos? No chaos models shown. Man, that'd be fun. Yeah, no, we were bringing that. We were talking about that earlier. That would actually be hilarious. No idea what could be implied from any of these images. I'm gonna put them up on screen real quick for y'all. I don't know what could be implied from most of these, but I don't see anything that looks like a custode. But that could be this one all the way over, the one all the way over on the top left. But that said, what I'm wondering is which one is the because is the Death Watch related one, if it's on here at all. Maybe bottom right. I'm hoping it's Death Watch. I really want it to be Death Watch. Yeah, we will just have to see. It is 8 minutes to go time now. Dark Elves, maybe? That'd be cool, yeah. Like I genuinely, I've said before, Games Workshop will start making the Legend stuff that they have in the old world. Excuse me, in the old world, they'll start. They're gonna make those like official armies again. It's just a matter of time. They have to. They don't really have a choice if they want to keep old world going. Okay, someone want to explain why Games Workshop, you know, a multi-billion-dollar hobby company, can't do a stream in 1080p? Like, seriously, they can't do a stream in 1080p. What the hell? What is wrong with you? Currently strictly keeping to 40k novels right now for GW stuff, and likely will just get most in the high seas. Hey, man, I feel you there. I feel you there. Exodite, that would be cool. That'd be cool if they did Exodites, honestly. Exodites are one of those little parts of, you know, Eldar lore that really should be touched upon. I don't know if they have enough to justify an army of their own, especially because they kind of leave their home worlds unless they have to. But yeah, no, there should be some Exodite presence on tabletop, like somehow. Exodites are some of the cooler Eldar, in my opinion. Bottom right is just a pirate org with a Space Marine jump packet stall. That'd be funny. That'd be funny if they did new, like new Storm Boys or something. They put all that money into hiring more people they don't need. Yeah, exactly. The curse of many an entertainment corporation right now. Hirees they don't need. Is it cope to believe Grey Knights will get anything? Possibly. Possibly. I don't think they're going to get any more this edition, honestly. You'll probably have to wait till next edition when there might be a refresh, but I don't know. What's up? What's up, Marbo? Glad listen, I'm not as cool as Sly Marbo. But thank you for being, you know, thank you for showing up. Raptor Riders for Eldar. Okay, I'd be happy with that. Make an Excite kill team so that way we can have woodsy terrain. You know, that's true. Like if they want to do like woodsy or jungle terrain. One look like Abaddon. They're not making a new kit for Abaddon. He got a new kit too recently. When it comes to Exodites, they would work well in kill team and maybe a small detachment for a 2,000 point army. Yeah, I will say, I like how they use kill team to release more specialized, specialized squads and small factions, and then have the armies work in 40k as well, or have those squads also work in 40k. I do like that. Like, yeah. Honestly, Kill Team, the way they... Kill Team was just a really good idea because they can, you know, use it as a focus to release those kinds of things that would otherwise not get a release. Gonna be honest, too much industrial terrain. I'm a GC Cults fan. Yeah, they've been going a little too hard on the industrial and ruins terrain. They should really do something more, you know. They should vary up the terrain a little bit. You know, in this next the next batch of stuff they're gonna do. Half human, half Exodites to play into the meme. Well, I mean, I don't think you can actually have half Eldar. 40k doesn't really do half Xenos, except in like the really standout example was Typhus, you know, or Typhon as he was known, you know, from the Death Guard, and even then the Necromancers on his homeworld were only Xenos insofar as they were like extremely mutated adhumans. They weren't proper aliens. Like the good old days of Mixed Regiment Imperial Guard. Yeah. They really fucked that up for 10th, didn't they? Have you seen the cardboard L-shaped ruins from some Warhammer tournaments? Only ruins, nothing else on the table. Yeah, no, it's... I genuinely despise the tournament scene, and I will never take part in it. I have no desire to take part in the super fucking sweaty, no fun allowed Warhammer experience. There's like no point to it. Warhammer should not be competitive. It just shouldn't be. Like, there can be a competitive scene if some people want to run that, but Games Workshop should not be sponsoring it because they're building the whole game around it, and that's a problem. Before stream starts, can you show off my most recently painted minis? I am not Hey, listen, if you want to see my minis, I've done streams of that. You can go watch those. I don't do requests. Comp Warhammer was and is a crime against humanity. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like I like to say, it's like I always like to say, you want to hear a good joke? Competitive Warhammer 40k. That's it, that's the joke. Malkador's therapist, Ale Winter, was a half Eldar, half human, but he was made in a petri dish. Yeah, exactly. You'd have to do it in a lab, and like it's not something you could produce like naturally. Any AOS excitements I'm excited for? I never get excited for AOS. AOS shouldn't exist. Like, I know some really nice people who like Age of Sigmar, but I genuinely don't like Age of Sigmar. I genuinely do not. I believe it's a mistake, and they should just squat it. There are more people watching Wokehammer L's than this rat soda slop. That's nice. Why are you here? Listen, Gotchi. I know that Gotchi, or maybe Fat Ass. I know that's you there. It is endlessly amusing to me that I live in your head rent free. It really is. I mean, listen, because you love me so much, you can stay and watch. I won't even ban you. AOS for me is a bits box filter. I mean, there's so few Age of Sigmar models that look nice, you know. And okay, Derlin. If you're gonna stay, you can go.
Hello,
you can stay without
everybody,
mentioning
and
one of the
welcome.
biggest losers in
We are very
Warhammer.
excited to welcome you today
Anyway.
to the big summer Warhammer
Oh God,
preview.
the quality
My name
of the
Adam
stream
Crowe.
is awful.
I'm joined by my friend and colleague Eddie Eccles, and it is our delight to host this show.
Yeah, very exciting. We have a big preview today.
There's a lot
There's
going
a
on.
lot of stuff. There's a lot of Warhammer. We've got stuff from all sorts of different settings, from Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, some Horus Heresy in the mix there as well. There's a little bit of something for everybody, it's fair to say.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Let's talk about how it's going to work a little bit. If you're new, maybe this is your first Warhammer preview you've joined in. We are your hosts, but we are not alone. We have the excellent Simon Grant sat over there in Question Corner. Simon,
Can y'all hear that all right?
Hey folks, welcome to the show. I'm going to be fielding questions on behalf of Eddie and Adam. So if you do have any questions that you'd like to ask them, please start your question with question in big letters, capital letters at the start of all your comments, and I will do my best to track them, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity later on in the show to ask Eddie and Adam those questions.
Perfect, thanks Simon. We're going to be taking some breaks throughout the sort of proceedings to try and field a few of those questions. We have a lot of content to cover.
Yes,
we think we're going to be
the
here
questions
for
that are totally
between an hour
really
and
live,
90 minutes
guys.
if we go fast. So bear with us and we'll do our best. We're aware the chat is still filling up. There's people flooding in from around the world. So the first thing I'd like to do is throw a question out there, maybe get you involved, which is let us know where in the world you're from. I do it every time and I always enjoy
I
the
hate my
answer.
phone
And while you
sometimes.
start punching in your coordinates, not too specific, I've got a question for you, Eddie. Done any hobby lately?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Adam. Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of Horus Heresy.
Honestly, you think the new
Very
Black
nice.
Temple
We're gonna-
combat
I
patrols
did,
is
and I did.
the better
So I've
green
got
night box.
some white
Really just
scars
need
on my
to
table at the moment,
get
got more
restore
sprayed up.
holders.
And I've started painting a jet bike.
I
using
like the
some
new
of
Horus
Heresy
green
transfers
night
on site
box.
that's
Not as
going
good
on.
as the old box, but it's
Looking
still
forward
a
to getting
decent
some of those
one.
done. I've also got some Space Wolves. I bought the new Space Wolf
The
box.
new
Like
the
a
new
lot of
Black
people,
Templar
very
combat
excited
patrol
by
is
the new,
honestly really good.
Space
though.
Wolf army as well.
Very
I'm
even
actually
with Dark
probably
Elves,
gonna
Lovely,
pick
it's a lovely, lovely
extremely
box.
tempting.
I think that has brought a lot of people to Fenris, that particular box set.
No
How about
doubt.
yourself? Have been doing any
Well,
cool
I'm
Warhammer?
glad you asked. The short answer is yes. I bought myself some new a new kill
God,
team.
the video
for
quality on
Hurricane,
this is
yesterday,
ass right
and
now.
I'm going to have a crack at that. I've not really painted kill team stuff. I've always used things from my main army. The other thing, it's only went to the Throne of Skulls with my good friend Damien O'Byrne, and we brought home a gold medal, which was super fun to play so many games of the Middle-earth Strategy Battle game together with so many lovely. Huge shout out! I met a father and son team who'd flown all the way across to join in from the US, and they're now hiking,
Did y'all hear
around,
an audio
the mountains
error
somewhere in
there?
Spain.
Or am I going
Literally
crazy?
Tremendous. So I hope you get to tune in wherever you are.
Let's see,
It was
AOS
really
is not
fun.
as good as
Thank you to
Fantasy
all
because
my
Felix
opponents
is
who
not an
played and then
AOS
thought
and
I wasn't
Gotrek
such a
misses
horrible
him.
person to play against. Always nice.
Yeah, it was so
where are
hilarious
people
trying to bring them
all
back
over the place.
without
It's wonderful.
Felix.
So
What the
we've
hell?
got folks from Australia,
You don't have Gotrek and
Canada,
Felix
US,
without
Spain,
Felix.
pretty much all over the globe.
That
Someone's
elf
claiming
girl
originally
they got
from
him with
Canada.
now just is
I'm not
not
sure
an
the truth of that.
adequate replacement.
Only the very best among us could possibly come from such an estimable place. Awesome. Right. So, as I said before, we've got about 90 minutes worth of like wall-to-wall Warhammer content in this big
Oh damn,
summer
90
Warhammer preview.
minutes. Okay, they usually go for
Before
an
we
hour.
look to begin.
Yeah, let's get stuck in, shall we?
Right. So, Raph, punch the first video.
So just
All right,
before
what's
we
first?
go in, the new guy, he's a little bit peculiar, but just bear with, okay?
Okay, cool.
Oh, Leagues of Votan. Oh, okay. These are really cool. These are really cool. I like these. Oh, new special character. Nice. Yeah, exactly, Krypton. We're rich!
Just two little dudes on a road trip.
what an incredible set of reveals for the Leagues of Votan.
Yeah, so this is the largest release for the Leagues of Votan since the initial release of the army. This is a huge expansion, all in plastic for that force.
Well,
there is
hope it
new
would
heavy
be in
infantry,
plastic.
there's some new artillery, there's loads of new, really characterful characters to add into the army. There's some new vehicles, all sorts of stuff. So
They already got a
there's,
novel,
the kind of shot of the full army there, but let's
Seth.
take a closer look at some of the specific models, specific units being added into the force. We'll start with the Arcanist Evaluator.
Yeah, so within the Leagues
he's
of
neat.
Votan, they're not afraid of developing technology and expanding their understanding. And so an Arcanist Evaluator is kind of, aside from the ordinary kin within sort of the war bands that operate, he's a member of the science guilds that are responsible for new technologies, and he brings
Oh,
to
he's with the
battle,
science team, okay.
an experimental weapon in the sort of closing phases of development. This is a transmatter inverter.
It's a cool name.
Yeah, it's got 4 fire modes, and on the highest one, it literally triggers lethal atomic transformations. What that means is death.
Yeah, so he's taken out his new experimental weapon basically to the battlefield to see if it is, as he suspects, powerful enough to melt Space Marines, tanks, or Tyranid monsters, whatever he happens to come up against.
Okay, so
Pretty
it's
much yes to
so
the
he's
Pretty
above.
much yes to all of the above.
Dude with big
He's
gun.
not part of the official sort of Leagues of Votan
Okay.
military hierarchy,
Well, like
so he doesn't join
like
your
a
units
nuclear
necessarily, but he kind of hangs
disintegration
around
gun.
in your army next to them,
Yeah.
and he's got kind of lone operative ability if he's near your infantry, that sort of thing. But a very useful, characterful little model to add into your Leagues of Votan force, and a nice way of kind of showing the some of the kind of lore and culture of the army as well, of the Leagues of Votan.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a glimpse behind the sort of the curtain, isn't it? And you can see some really cool things that sort of key into that. He's got these optics on his weapon that you can almost imagine sort of recording the.
You know
the
what's
data
kind of
from,
reminding me
the
of? It's
results.
kind
That's
of
a very cool
reminding
head
me
as well,
of
don't
the
match that into
shock
fire,
Yeah, and
attack
if you
gun,
wanted
but a
to,
version
there's
that
a separate,
works.
a different head,
Or works
that you
how
can
it's
have
supposed
if
to,
it's
you
helmeted,
know?
or if you just fancy some health and safety protocols, then you know,
Absolutely.
that's the way to go. Next up,
Yeah, I like the
my
Leagues of
absolute
Votan, though.
standout
I think
favourite.
they're
This is the thing that made me march into Warhammer World yesterday and buy some Leagues of Votan models for myself. The Memnir Strategist. He is an Ironkin. Those of you who are fans of the League of Votan will understand that the Ironkin are
Abominable
essentially,
intelligences.
well, not in their mind, but they're artificial intelligences which they hold an equal position within Votan society. There's a CU unit inside of each of them, and that's sort of within that iron dome that is normally his head. The first really cool thing about this model is that you see the little noodly things that are on in the Imperium. You call them mechadendrites, right? These cables that
Okay,
come out of him.
so what's he
Each of those
do?
is an additional
That's what I
CU
wanna know.
unit. So he is the combined intelligence of multiple Ironkin, essentially.
Oh,
And
okay.
he uses that to enormous effect in terms of strategy.
So he's
and
like
tactics on the
4
battlefield,
Ironkin
directing the
brains
efforts
plugged
of the
plugged
kin
into one
around him.
Ironkin.
It keys into a rule as well, which is known as yield points, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. And most importantly, he looks amazing.
It's a very, very cool miniature, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, Zeph, the novel kind of landed with a thud from what I
spare arms on
understand.
the front
Yeah,
there,
you
which
get
is holding on to
bonus
his,
arms.
he's
It kinda
holding on to his
came
little
out,
data
was
pad, he's
forgotten
tapping
about.
away on there, giving orders to all the various kin and Leagues of Votan units across the battlefield. And his main pair of arms he's used to sort of hold in his contemplative state, which is the exact pose that I have when I'm considering my movement phase in Warhammer 40,000.
So he's
And if
basically
you
an
wanna
artificial
dazzle your friends
intelligence
with, some
mentat.
knowledge,
Wait,
the array he's got
artificial
on his back is
intelligence
called a
robotic
cognital
dwarf
mantle,
mentat.
and that's
Okay.
where he gets like his extra brain power from. Really sensational. Speaking of,
Why is he standing with the
Ironkin,
"you know I had to do it to" a
these
meme? Yeah,
are a new
exactly.
unit of Ironkin. They are called
Oh.
the Steeljacks. 2 types of metal in one name. Eddie, what's the story?
Yeah, so this is the Ironkin Steeljacks. They are a specialist war, kind of more warrior type of Ironkin. A lot of the Ironkin are fairly sort of helpful. They're kind of
they
default
fill normal civilian roles in
their
society.
Default state is a sort
Okay,
of
these are really
friendly, affable helpers for the Leagues of Votan for the kin. These are a much more warlike programming, so they march out actively into battle seeking conflict.
Yeah, tall boys.
They are in very large suits of armor, so they stand kind of almost twice the height of a kin or a League of Votan warrior, and they have got some pretty decent weaponry as well. You can kit them out in a variety of different ways. You can either go combat leaning. This is an example there, where you can have like concussion fists and bolt guns, or you can go with a ranged option. In game terms, they work a little bit
Is that
like
Volkite?
Wraithguard, I suppose, is the closest approximate. So very durable.
They give these
unit,
motherfuckers Volkite.
Quite powerful weaponry, very good for doing things like moving onto an objective and trying to hold onto it, and fighting off enemy counterattacks, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, in real terms, heavily armed, heavily armoured.
Well, they're neat, though. I like 'em.
Dangerous unit.
I like 'em.
You
I
can
think
see the
they're
leader
cool.
in the squad.
I'm glad they're expanding Leagues of Votan into like different areas.
In the background, he's got a plasma sword going on the front.
Gives you Space King vibes a little bit with the helmet, shape. Yeah,
Army, I think it's fair to say. We're not done. There's more. The Chthonian Earthshaker channels some really strong energy from that sort of rogue trader era. Do you remember mole mortars for squat
Very
armies?
well, yes.
So these are sort of inverse artillery in that rather than lobbing a shot high above the enemy, they fire those mole shells that you can see down at the bottom deep into the ground. They burrow in on the enemy and emerge,
that's cool
in
as
a trench
fuck.
line, in a bunker, and just blow it.
It's literally just second edition mole
Each one of
mortars.
these is a really lovely sort of diorama in their own right as well. So you can see the kin there working with the Iron Kin, loading up the artillery. You can see one of them there with his little scanner, almost directing the mole as it kind of buries underground towards the enemy fortifications. Obviously, it's a powerful piece in game.
Fucker stole them from Krieg. Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Nice kind of ways that this will bolster your Leagues of Votan force, which at the moment maybe doesn't have a huge amount of very long range artillery. And yeah, I think it's a great kit, really.
Awesome. Speaking of the bigger models that are inside this launch, we have the Capricus. So the Capricus is one of those kits that makes two things. You can see here the Capricus Defender. We'll show you the Capricus Carrier in a minute. Essentially, it is either a sort of attack vehicle for the Hernkin, or it's a transport vehicle. They've got so this is the.
I love that
carrier.
old
So
timey
it's a smaller
magazine,
gun. It's
old
got,
timey
less other
stripper
weapons on it,
clip
and you can see the
magazine
stowage
thing
bag
on
for
the
crew that
railgun.
ride in the back. Whichever you take, essentially this is enabling your Hernkin to get around from A to B and hold the ground that they're taking.
Yeah, so it adds a bit of a mobility into your Leagues of Votan force.
Okay, so it's a light transport.
Carries 5 models, so it works a little bit like the other kind of Leagues of Votan transports, where you pick one of your units, it can split into
Is that the same
two groups of
Chthonian
5.
Horus group?
5 of them can
No,
ride
it's
around in one of these. If you've
the
got
term
two of the transports, you can
Chthonian
obviously
has
ride
a
around in two of the
specific meaning
transports.
that they're using here.
And as you say, Adam, you can choose between either having the transport option or you can just have all the guns and have a
Honestly, if I would
fire
ever play
support.
Xenos, it would be
For me,
Leagues of
this is stunning.
Votan.
This is what made me march off to Warhammer World yesterday and buy the Hernkin.
There's some really lovely little touches on this. The stowage bags are really nice at the back. I like that you can build this with 2 Ironkin as well. So if you want an Ironkin pilot and an Ironkin gunner, you can build them like that. Fans of Ironkin generally, there is a lot of Ironkin
Yeah, you've
in
done
this
quite well
Leagues
this
of
week.
Votan
Yeah,
release.
absolutely so.
There's
also a new,
combat
patrol for
patrol,
the Leagues
okay.
of Votan on the way. We're all familiar with combat patrols. If we're
But
familiar with
since you
Warhammer
mentioned it,
40,000, if you're new,
the
let me
term
explain what they do.
Chthonian or
It's a fantastic way to
Chthonic
start an
was
army.
in reference to deities
Or to
associated with the
bolster an army if you've already got
underworld.
one. This one really focuses on those sort of kin bands that make.
And the
main player
Chthonian
push
guys
with
in the
hundreds
Leagues of
background
Votan are
behind,
like
in the middle.
the miners.
So
the ones that
it's
go
just one of the
underground, like in
ingredients to
planets and
bulk our
shit.
force.
It's a really useful
Deep Rock
unit in there as
Galactic
well.
style.
Like, you don't tend to see a League of Votan army that doesn't have all of those units.
Yeah,
in.
there's no wastage there.
So
right?
it's all good stuff. A couple of boxes of these, and then a couple of the new units, and you've got an army
You're
basically.
away. Yeah, absolutely so. Now, on to, for many people's...
I'm loving the
aspect,
dead
main
Tyranid
event of
he's
this release.
wearing.
This is Bury Agneson. Eddie?
So Bury Agneson is the last survivor of a Leagues of Votan clan, which has been consumed by the encroaching Tyranid menace. He is known as the Thrice Devoured. A Tyranid monster has actually eaten this guy, but that wasn't enough to keep him down. He clawed his way out of its gullet, climbed his way back out to safety 3 times, apparently,
Yep.
and now goes across the galaxy, across the kin warbands as a roving Tyranid killing specialist.
Yeah,
effectively.
absolutely. He's
that is rad as fuck.
He is an absolutely elite combat unit. He's equipped with that Dark Star glaive, which you see there, which is called Bane. He's pure violence in melee form.
I think you're going to get a lot of this
Tell
guy
me about
in armies
tell me about
because his rules are very-
tell me about
he is,
Bury Agensren.
He's
Why
got
does
a
he
great
wear the
combat
mask?
stat line, but he's also a lone operative, so you can imagine this guy advancing.
He's got a lot
either
of
on his
loyalty
own or
for a
alongside,
lone
kind of
operative.
behind your forces and swooping in on the big enemy monsters and stuff that get forward to threaten your battle line.
Yeah, and his lore really comes into it. So he's a member of, well, he's the only member now of an organisation called the Emberg Aegir Block, which is one of the Leagues of Votan. Literally wiped out down to the very last kin, which is this guy. And so he's so bitter. His whole life is devoted now to just hunting down the Tyranid Menace and supporting
You know what?
other leagues to stop the
They're
same
going to
thing
tie
happening.
this into
And you
the
see
old
that
legend
played out in
that
his model.
the squats were eaten by
He's got
Tyranids,
this
and that's where
sort
they
of
went.
Belt buckle,
That's where
which
they're gonna go
very
with
much
that.
looks like he's sort of taken some affectations from the Tyranids. He's got what looks like, we've been having quite a discussion about this, a Tyranid Prime sort of cadaver.
I think it's a
over his
Tyranid
head.
Prime that he's got over the top of his head.
Yeah.
40k
there's a nice little
Slayer?
nod in this model
Kinda,
as well
yeah.
to,
He's grudge maxing right
now. The idea at some point that the squats were eaten by the Tyranids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
there it
this
is.
guy kind of goes, well, yeah, they were eaten by the Tyranids, but also they clawed their way out again. So there is a little bit of truth to that sort of that outdated understanding maybe of what happened to that faction.
Fantastic.
Oh, and
all
he's
this obviously will be
hey,
supported
listen.
with
I
codex
told
being
you
Votan
the
and
old
new
squat
codex
cannon
of
was
Warhammer
still
40,000.
canon, and nobody
Okay,
wanted to
this is
listen.
I've had a
I
quite a
told
while
him.
to read this week. It's just full of
Yeah, exactly,
sentences
Exorm.
of
That
lore,
goes-
sort
that
of
goes in the
rules and
fucking
parts.
book.
It explains all of the new things, obviously.
Just got here. Did I miss a lot?
In terms of the rules, there's too
New
much
Leagues
to
of
go into
Votan
in any
stuff.
real detail here. But a thing to cover would be those yield points, which is
Yeah, exactly, Gotcha. He's crashing this hive ship with no
Yield
survivors.
points effectively changes the way your army works over the course of the game, and it works in the way that the Leagues of Votan approach acquisition effectively. So early on in the game, when you haven't got very many yield points, you're getting bonuses for attacking enemy units on objectives for the most part across your army. And then later on, once you've acquired yield points, you get bonuses for having your own units on objectives. So they get better at defending them, better bonuses for their own defense, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it
so
sort of encourages you to play
I wonder if
in
they're
going
gonna
to
keep the grudge system from 9th edition.
way that the Leagues of Votan work.
And it's a really great mechanic, right? Because it's exactly how you win games of Warhammer 40,000. Early on, you kick people off objectives. Later on, you hold on to the objectives. So
And
it's
some of the
powerful.
new units that we've shown and some of the units that already exist in the Votan army now have rules that key into that. For example, the Memnir Strategist just lets you increase or decrease your yield score by 1 each turn.
Yeah.
So really sort of thoughtfully put
Yeah, I remember
sort of
how
who's
busted that
focusing on the
system
total
was.
Sort of tactical function of your army. You can just go nudge and help you out.
Yeah.
We should show some of the models.
Let's do it, yeah.
So we've got some in front of us. We're very lucky to be allowed to put our paws on the heavy metal miniatures. So there'll be
$70
a
a
bit
pop,
of sort of
probably.
scale comparison here, but here you can see this is the Arcanist, and then you've got the Memnir. They're like normal Votan sized, so any kin is about the same sort of proportion as those. And here you can see just how sort of much bigger the Steeljacks are. I think your comparison that you made to compare them to Wraithguard is really quite fair.
Yeah, they're about
actually.
the same size as a Wraithguard. It's kind of in that ballpark of.
So
kind of
far, the
medium,
cooking can't
heavy
wait for the
infantry.
prices. Oh, the
This is
prices
the new
are- the
artillery
prices
piece.
are gonna be obscene.
It's
You
maybe
know
not
they are.
like as big as something like an Imperial Guard tank or something like that. But
Honestly, the most goodwill
compact,
GW could
mobile,
build
that
in a
sort of
long
thing, fitting
time
in
was to
with
say,
the
hey
aesthetic
guys,
of the rest of
we're
the
universally
Votan.
slashing
You can
prices.
sort of imagine it starting
They'll
like
never
as a
do
piece
it,
of mining
but, you
equipment,
know,
and they've
yeah.
sort of evolved it into a weapon.
You can definitely see sort of some of those origins. I just want to draw some attention to some of the super cool bits on it. This guy here, you can see over his shoulder, he's got like a data slate. You've got this sort of, I don't know, like loading hatch that you can model open or closed. On this side, you've got a case which has more of the shells. You get spare shells to put on their own bases.
Slam's the smallest model on the
just a
desk,
really
100
thoughtfully
USD.
designed and very
Yeah,
exciting
yeah,
kit.
more or less.
So we should show more though, because this is by no means the end of it.
Absolutely. We've got the Capricus here. So just make some space on the table so we can have a look at this guy. So this is your new vehicle. This is the Defender pattern, which is the
Probably
the,
5
the
days
gun
after they come out,
version.
STLs will be
And as you
made.
can
Probably
see
before
there,
that,
there's a little
honestly.
space, not quite enough
You know
space
the
to
3D
transport on
printer
this one.
guys are
There is
already
one which is a transport
scanning
vehicle.
every
I really
inch
like
of
the
this
Iron
video
King.
to know how to
It's
model
He's got like
these
a tiny
things.
little
It's
chair.
quite small, yeah, because they wouldn't fit a full-sized kin in there, so they've given them a little tiny iron kin, actually perfectly designed for the role.
Absolutely, and I guess the star of the show himself in many ways.
He is.
Agnir
So the
Burrison.
thrice devoured there. So he's still kind of kin-sized, but you can have a look on this model here that so much of him is now bionic, right? So he's been
Yeah, they have to stand
Chewed
him
up
on
on
a
his fingers,
They have to
they
stand him on a
chewed up and spat
tactical
out so
rock to
many
make him
times
like
that,
hero
his arm,
sized.
bits of his arms, most of his face, perhaps a kind of unspecified amount of his body has probably been dissolved by horrible Tyranid bioacid in their stomach and things, but he's still kicking. And it also shows how durable the kin are, right? So they're specially designed by their Votan to be durable, to endure kind of the most hostile conditions, and he's a good example of how that's kind of manifesting.
Yeah, that's really cool, isn't it? So I think we've covered the league pretty thoroughly, right?
Yeah.
Before we move on, we're going to go to the old world next. A couple of sort of housekeeping bits. The first one would be, We're going to return to the 41st Millennium at the end of the preview, so particularly if you like Kill Team, but also there's some other things for other factions as well. Do hang around if you like Warhammer 40,000. The other thing I would say is that lots of the people who mentioned that they were joining us from around the world, you can interact with our social teams.
What do they got for Old World?
International social teams that manage our various sort of social media places. Here they are. If you want to sort of get involved in the conversation in the language which suits you, go knock yourself out. They're really lovely people. They're really engaged and want to, sort of make sure that you get to hear about Warhammer in the language that suits you.
That'd be really cool if you were on
speak
Twitter.
English, or you're willing to take a pot shot at it. These are
That'd
our
be really
socials
cool.
as well, so,
if you
please come and join.
Use your Twitter account like you did the other day,
Time for
and then you
a little bit
deleted
of
it.
Warhammer: The Old World.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, first up, we have brand new units for the Tomb Kings.
New
Tomb
Tomb King
is a
stuff.
new multi-part plastic.
No, they've
kit
not shown
that makes
Custodes
the
yet.
Royal
They haven't done
the
Horus
easiest way to
Heresy.
describe these is that you have a battle standard bearer and you have a new hero / lord. You could make that and call it a Tomb Prince or a Tomb King. I think it's up to you. You get a battle standard, which you can put on either thing. So if you fancy a faster moving battle standard, stick it on the horse guy. If you fancy him like standing around in one of your big regiments of skeleton warriors or tomb guard, then go for the on foot version.
Well, no, when the hell are they going to show
head things
Kislev
as well.
finally?
Battle standard bearers are key to Warhammer armies. If you play the old world, you'll know.
Yeah, I love this battle standard. That kind of weird scorpion. Both the paint scheme and the model itself are very cool. As you say, this is multi-part as well, so you can swap and change if you want the faster one. If you've got lots of chariots or something in your army, you can mix them in. I would imagine there's a fair bit of customizability between this kit and some of the other Tomb Kingy bits as well.
Yes, yeah, not just within this kit itself, but also I think things like the Tomb Guard, for example. So this isn't the only new plastic kit coming for the Tomb Kings of Khemri. We also have the Leech Priests, who are fundamental to the workings, literally, of the Tomb Kings.
Yeah, you absolutely need Lich Priests in your army if you've got a Tomb King's army.
Okay,
Your army
they're
only
cooking
woke
with the
up
old
because
world
you've had
stuff,
Lich
as
Priests.
usual.
It's their job to kind of keep the magic flowing that keeps your army marching forward. Again, this is a multi-part kit. There's some lovely options on these. You can see they're perhaps a little bit less dead than some of the other Khemri, but they're still very definitely desiccated. Definitely spent far too long.
I
in the
said it
desert
way
inside
back
the
when they
somewhere.
revealed Old
I
World.
love
I'm so
the
glad
vulture on
they
the top of
brought
the,
back,
the staff.
Bretonnian Tomb Kings.
So thanks for bringing that back.
I always
it's a
felt
really
bad for the
lovely
people who got
image,
fucked
these sort
over
of
by GW when they came out with Age of
creatures
Sigmar and
that have
squatted
come
both
alive through
armies.
The magic of the rituals.
I think you were saying as well that looks like it's right out of a piece of Warhammer art. doesn't
Yeah,
it? Like
the mounted guy in particular, I think they're both exquisite. But the mounted guy, from sort of the perfect angle, he just looks like the artwork, and I mean that as the highest possible compliment. Tomb King veterans might be wondering if
So far,
that's,
giving the Tomb
extra
King stuff a
armor
good
on the
golf
skeleton
plat.
steed.
Yeah.
It certainly is. We'll
Oh yeah,
talk
no,
a bit
yeah,
more
it looks
about that in a
good.
moment.
It looks
Yes,
really
you can
good.
have a barded skeletal steed, which I think might be
Old
quite useful
World's
if you're
doing
used to
really good
terrible
right now.
armor
It basically
saves.
carried GW in
I guess we
2024.
can talk about that now. If we go across to also coming out is a new arcane journal, The War of Cetra's Fury. Cetra, the imperishable, is very, very angry.
Can I turn
His
my
land's
audio
been
up? My
defiled.
audio's
He
all
feels
the
like
way
he
up,
owns
so,
everything, and he is launching a
do you
full-scale
mean
invasion
my
northward
voice or
into
the,
sort of
or
border
the,
region between the Empire
the stream?
and Britannia, sort of known as the Vaults.
Like the
Also
on
inhabited
the Warhammer
by
stream.
some dwarfs, and you've got sort of dispossessed barons and nobles from both the Empire and Britannia, and so they are
I have some
forced
old
to rally
minis
in
from
defense of a
Warhammer
full-scale
Quest and
invasion
Fantasy. Should dig
of
them
the
out when
undead
I'll visit my
from
visit
Khemri.
parents.
There
Yeah,
are
hey
rules
man,
for sort of allied
be glad you held
forces,
on to those.
Playing smaller games in like a timely and interesting fashion. It's just packed.
That said,
and
I don't
it's a
blame the
really
guy who
cool
burned
way
his
of
Bretonnia
looking at
army.
the
I mean, I'd be
lore of
pissed
the
off
old
too.
world and how they're sort of explaining the things that
My
took place in
voice,
this
I can't turn it
particular
up any
part of
further. It
Warhammer
has to be
time.
on your
It's
end.
great to get some new lore for the old world as well. I think.
Yeah,
it's,
absolutely.
The team diving into the opportunities that the world allows them to have.
And see what I mean about the artwork, right? Sort of the guy in the centre, like it just in this piece.
Like,
it
like,
really
I'm
just
pretty certain my
screams the
input
imagery
is
that we saw
all the way
before out
up.
of it. There's another arcane journal coming, which is equally exciting. Just happens at the other side, quite literally, of the region in the old world known as the old world. This is Dawn of the Storm Dragon, and it features a bold strategic move made by Miao Ying, who's the lady pictured in the centre. She's one of the children of the Dragon Emperor, and she learns of the Chaos Invasion, which is happening in the north, and is concerned that it's going to gain too much traction. So
is that better?
Ships full
is that
of
a little better?
Grand Cathayan soldiers and sails to the Empire, sets up an enclave, and helps to try and stymie this Chaos Invasion.
Remember the
in
video
real
of the guy
terms,
torching his High
A,
Elves
a cool
army?
story, and B, there's a. There's
If I remember
rules in
correctly,
there
it was
for all sorts of
Bretonia,
things,
and
including,
yeah, like I said, the guy was
the ability to
justified.
have an allied force of Grand Cathay and the Empire of Man.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
That is
We've
really
never had
cool,
anything like that before, really, have we? So
Yeah, so, and I think this is sort of a great example of the really sort of bold and exciting things that the studio team responsible for the Old World.
All right, no
They
problem.
Clearly love the setting.
It was
and
my
want to explore it
my
in really
my
good
microphone
environments.
settings in the computer could have been higher. So yeah, that was
absolutely. So-
I admit that was on me.
We should throw over to Question Corner and see if Simon's got any
what have
any
you-
questions for us.
what have you got for us, Simon?
Loads and loads of questions. I think the majority of them are focusing on the Leagues of Votan. There's loads of shiny new toys coming out there, of course. So the first one is actually about the Judgment tokens. Are they still a thing? Obviously, we've got the yield rules, but what about Judgment tokens?
So the focus in terms of the army mechanic is those yield points that we've talked about before. It's always good when we get a question which is like, can you tell me the really grainy, like granular rules things? Because the answer is no. We've got 90 minutes to rail through as much stuff as we can, as fast as we can. We'll cover way more detail about Votan rules and mechanics and all those things as we lead towards it. But you're in for some subtle changes in the way the Leagues of Votan work, and it's quite exciting.
Cool. We've got another one, which were the funky drill shell tokens on the Chthonian Earthshaker. What do they represent?
So I do have a really short and candid answer for that. You saw them on the little base beside. The kit comes designed for you to have 2 of those.
I can't fast forward it.
If I remember correctly,
I'd
and
love to,
don't,
believe
sue
me, but I can't.
internet if I get it wrong. You put them down alongside the Earthshaker when you deploy, and you can remove one from the game to give yourself rerolls on wound rolls as you're playing. So yeah, kind of fun. It's like it represents something, and you take it off and you spend it.
Yeah, so the unit is sort of set up so that they have some specialist shells. So that'd be like representing the unit being like, right, we're going to use one of the big ones now. This is the important shot.
Perfect.
Rules by the Codex
And,
Bozo. Yeah,
We've
exactly.
got one more. So let's go with how many models can the Capricus carrier transport?
Great question.
It carries 5, so it works a little bit like some of the other Leagues of Votan transports, where you take a unit of, usually come in 10s, you split the unit in half, so 5 of them can go in that. If you've got 2 of the transports, you can carry both the units round in those, or you can leave 5 of them back on your baseline and deploy them elsewhere.
Grand, that's good.
Nice one. Thank you. So we'll draw a curtain on the old world, but we will go to the mortal realms instead. There's some exciting
Okay,
things,
just say okay. It's Age of
talk about
Sigmar.
here.
Everyone can fall
And
asleep
let's
for a bit.
start with a new battle tome for Death, the Death Grand Alliance. These are the Flesh Eater Courts. Many of you will be familiar with them. These are the like foul and abominable cannibal monstrosities who unfortunately have delusions, quite literally, of being noble and elegant and chivalric, and the truth couldn't be sort of further from that.
Yeah, they absolutely imagine.
you're allowed-
that
I mean,
they
that's
are in
okay.
service
You're
of
allowed
some
to think
grand
that. It's
king
just not a good
on perhaps
game.
a grand crusade of some sort, or part of a pageant, or a noble feast of some sort, but are in fact horrible, degenerate cannibals, as you say. The new battle tome has all the stuff that you would expect. Lots of new ways to use your army, new magic abilities, new enhancements, changes to some of the way the war scrolls work. So lots of exciting stuff.
Stuck in
And perhaps
traffic.
most exciting,
Hey,
there is a
listen,
new
you're stuck in
miniature,
traffic. We're
on
stuck
way
in
to
the Age of
accompany them,
Sigmar
which is the High Falconer Felgrin. So much like the
Oh,
rest
God,
of
that
the
looks
Flesh Eater Courts,
ridiculous.
this guy is under an illusion. His particular delusion is that he is a falconer in charge of noble and wise avian creatures, where in fact he is in charge of a swarm of rabid
this
bats.
thing legitimately
In-
looks like what
the
I
model is very
always say
capsule,
about
he's got his kind of weird, crazy
what I
hats,
say
he's
about
got
Age of
kind of
Sigmar
almost
models.
like the
They had a
vestiges
good
of that
model and then
nobility
just
you were
kept
referring to,
bolting
right?
shit
Like a
onto it
very
when they
sort
should
of
have
like
stopped.
huntsman-y style hat on,
Yep.
and the
You could
tattered
cut
robes
so
of the
much
person that
unnecessary
might be
detail
prominent
off this
duty,
and still and
but
have a
it's got
good looking
guts hanging
model.
off the
It's a
trees
very
quite
fun.
well.
It's a very fun miniature. I think in the spinning shot, maybe you can just picture it. But there is a bat that comes with him, which is basically a token that represents something in the game, where he sends one of his falcons off to spy an enemy unit, and that can give you bonuses in games, basically. So he's
Looks
these
like
are
a
the kind
Nightmare
of
Before
spies, the
Christmas
eyes and
character.
ears
Yeah.
of the Flesh Eater Courts.
When they
And if
over-design
you
the Age of
direct
Sigmar
it to
stuff
an
like this,
enemy
it
unit,
goes from
it
looking
can
like,
give
you know,
your squires,
scary
your kind of
or
ghouls,
awesome,
bonuses against the
or,
enemy
you
unit.
know,
can do things
and
like
it just
take
starts
away their
looking
wood save
ridiculous.
and,
Like,
get
I
better
can't take
basically.
this model
So a very
seriously. I
useful
really
unit to
can't.
have in your game, and a very characterful model for your army.
Nice. There's also accompanying this release for the Flesh Eater Courts, the Charnel Watch. This is a new spearhead, so you can use it straight in games of spearhead, or you can use this to bulk out, or maybe you can
Oh,
use this
no,
to
correct.
bulk out
I don't
your,
blame you for not keeping
existing
track.
Flesh Eater Courts
There was a
army.
new edition of
This
Age
is
of
a
Sigmar
fast-moving,
released like last
hard-hitting,
year or something, I think.
infantry-focused,
It's kind of
Spearhead.
just been
It's
floating
got
and
models that you'll
existing.
be very familiar
It
with,
hasn't really
and the
made
way that they
waves. In fact,
synergize within this
I've
game,
on
within
pretty good
Spearhead is
authority.
really
It
fun.
flopped
They
just
expect
like the
sort of
previous
lightning
edition.
assaults, and then using monstrous-sized infantry to sweep the enemy away.
Yeah, also a great start to a larger Age of Sigmar
absolutely.
army for Flesh Eater Courts. It combos really nicely with the existing Flesh Eater Courts spearhead. So if
Yeah.
you've got that already, you can add this in, and you've basically got most of an army. Some really good stuff. A couple of the cannibal monkeys in there as well, which are
It's what
always
everybody
a winner.
needs, right?
Who doesn't love that?
There's another battle tome for the sort of Death faction, which is the Nighthaunt. Here we have Death Battle Tome Nighthaunt. They're a very popular, iconic faction within the Mortal Realms. They sort of had their place within the second edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and they've really,
They really got to stop misusing the term
their spot
iconic
as
like
sort of
that.
beloved. This book is.
I'm
like,
reminded of
ram-packed with the lore,
Aiden's
that
iconic
explains
hat
the lore, as
from
well as all of the,
Watch
war
Dogs. It's
scrolls
like
and information
it's
you
not
need.
iconic. It
I
literally
was
came
talking
out
to an
5
avid
minutes
Nighthaunt
ago.
player about this yesterday, who was super excited because he's sort of in the know enough to know, for example, that
Fantasy is like a
war
nice
saves are
modern
improving
high-grade
across the
UC
board,
kit.
and so he's
AOS is
very
like
excited to try
the
those
same
again.
mobile
Yeah,
suit
there's
made
some
by
significant
Chinese
defensive
third
buffs
party.
for the
You know what,
Nighthaunt,
Heliosphere?
certainly,
That's a
with
really
this
good
battle tome.
comparison, actually.
Generally speaking, you're finding that the units have a bit more health. The way that they're
Haven't every new
immunity
edition
to
of
rend
AOS
works has
flop
changed
when
a
they
little bit.
release.
So generally,
Listen,
their normal saves are a
nobody-
little bit worse, but you can now
Age of
bolster them
Sigmar
with things
fans
like
didn't
all-out
want to admit
defense.
it, but
And
there's a
their ward
reason
saves
that
across
there
the
were still
board
box
are 5 up or
kits
better,
of
which is pretty solid.
Perfect.
the previous
But let's get on to
edition,
the,
Gathering
model,
on
which is
Shelves,
brand new,
Gathering
coming out with
Dust.
this release, which is
Same
the Lord of
same
Vitriolic.
reason
This is
the
a very
Custodes
disturbing
release
creature.
for 10th edition
In
was
life,
on
it
shelves, Gathering
something
Dust.
like
Nobody
a
buying it.
Poisoner. Or
It had nothing to do with the
Snake
rules
oil
being
merch.
bad. Well, I mean, Age of
fake
Sigmar is bad
potions and
rules.
curatives who deceive
But, you
people
know,
and sort of, let them down or led them to ruin. And Nagash is able to claim his soul because of his sort of malpractice, his evil deeds, and has reformed him into this horrific Lord Vitriolic with like backward jointed arms on top of his spine. He's horrible, but really fun in the game.
Yeah, so he's got some very fun rules. So basically, you can see his rack of potions on his back there. And the way
Honestly,
that
I feel
manifests
like,
in games is you
once
can
again, this is
create
a model
specialist
they could have
potions and
done
throw them at enemy
differently and
units.
had
You've
made
got
it
two
look
options
good.
on how you do that.
Like, they
You
could
can
have had
either
the
just
potions
chuck a bunch of
hanging
random potions at the
underneath
enemy
him.
and roll
That
some
would've
random
looked
things and see what
better.
happens to them. Or you
The
can
rack of
concoct a very
potions on his
specific
back
potion
looks
to do a
ridiculous.
specific job. And the effects
doesn't
of
look
those
cool,
can range
it
from
looks
things
ridiculous.
like doing harm to the enemy unit, taking away some of their advantages, all the way through to things like stripping ward saves from enemy units.
Yeah,
So,
that one looks
it's a
particularly appealing.
really good little problem-solving unit. So you can go, right, what enemy am I facing? What I'd really like against this is this specific bonus or this specific debuff to the enemy unit, or just to do some damage. So I think we're going to see a lot of this guy in Nighthaunt armies.
Absolutely. And as with the Flesh Eater Courts, there is a new spearhead for the Nighthaunt. This is the Cursed Shackle Horde. It's just all the ghosts
Easy Dark
all the
Eldar
time,
conversion
right? An absolutely
material.
brilliant box.
Yeah, but
Loaded
you'd probably
with,
just snip the whole
everything
thing
you
off
want
his back and
to
then
either
file off
kickstart
the
an
little
army,
nubs that were left over
reinforce an
from it.
army,
But that wouldn't be
or
hard.
play games of Spearhead.
Yeah, it's very cool. And obviously a great place to start a new Nighthaunt army.
Yeah, absolutely. Those things were cool.
They're cool.
But there's a lot of people here who have been holding onto their hats really patiently, hoping that we maybe, show them something they've never ever seen before.
That would certainly be cool.
Well, why don't we start with this?
Oh, hey, Chaos Dwarves. For Age of Sigmar. The game nobody wants them on.
What an incredible reveal, Eddie! I know you're super excited.
I am very excited. This might be my new Age of Sigmar army. These are the Hellsmiths of Hashut. These are
enjoy your faction. People are just going to buy to use in the old world. So
Warhammer Age of Sigmar,
yeah,
an entirely
that's probably the only
redesigned
reason it's
and
going to
brand
sell.
new army coming out first in an army set. Arriving alongside its new battle tome. The army set also serves as the spearhead force for the Hellsmiths.
Gotta admit,
of
the team
Hashut.
responsible
These
for
models
naming
are
their stuff.
phenomenally cool.
Yeah, I guess.
The rules are great. The lore is great.
But I mean,
love
that
absolutely
said,
everything about them.
that
Let's
said,
dive into
this
the
just
minces.
ties into
I
the
think
fact that the only
first thing I wanna
good-looking
say
Age of
is
Sigmar stuff
let's talk about,
is
like,
stuff that
why
wouldn't
they
look
are.
out of
These-
place in Warhammer
when
Fantasy.
The time of chaos happened in the Mortal Realms. The Duardin, they retreated. They survived in their holds, or they took to the skies, or whatever.
not these guys.
But not
these
so
guys.
the Zardron, the Chaos Duardin, who would become known as the Hellsmiths of Hashut. They instead turned to Hashut, an ancient and terrible Duardin deity who taught them the ways of hell.
Time to buy a shit ton of square bases. Yeah, basically.
Their whole culture.
I honestly want to know what percentage of Age of Sigmar sales just go toward making old world armies.
Let's dive
like
into
seriously,
the
I
first
want
thing that appears
to.
in the
I want to
army
know
set.
the actual numbers.
These are the Infernal Cohort with Hashutite spears. Say that fast if you can. They are the core unit for the Hellsmiths of Hashut. They are an elite combat unit straight off the bat. These are very dangerous Duardin indeed. And the first thing to observe is those Hashutite spears. Each of them has got like a glowing orb in it. That contains imprisoned, ground down, reconstituted demon essence, because that's how they roll.
So the demon legions that invaded the various Duardin holds during the Age of Chaos, some of them took over the holds.
They're just Warhammer Fantasy Battle
Hellsmiths of Hashut
Chaos
dwelled.
Dwarfs. That's all they are.
Trapped those
Again,
demon
like I
legions,
said, the
and
only
decided
good-looking
to
Age of
weaponize them
Sigmar
into the
models
fuel
is
to power
Warhammer
their war
Fantasy
machines,
Battle
their
stuff.
weapons,
They try to
and their
convince you as part of
technology.
Age of
So
Sigmar.
That green glow, as you say, is
Like these.
ground up demon juice.
These look
that is
good,
powering
but
the
they look
weapons
like
of the
Warhammer
Hellsmiths.
Fantasy Battle
This is
minis,
so
and that's
cool.
why.
Things to talk about within this unit. Obviously, you've got like a unit champion. You see, you've got a musician, which is like this weird combination.
Got a
of
friend
the
printing you
bare-chested,
Beastmen for
Duardin
one-page
and a hobgrot
rules.
carrying
That's
a massive
cool.
gong on its back, and obviously a standard bearer. It's a two-for kit. That's like internalism for this kit makes two different types of unit. And so here you have them with Hashutite blades, basically shorter ways of killing people. They have different profiles.
We hope we get
in the
Chaos
game.
Dwarfs and Skaven
both-
back in
both
Warhammer
very
Fantasy
useful.
Battles. Give it time.
It's
gonna happen
Are
eventually.
your slightly more defensive things, so you get bonuses against the enemy that's charging you, against cavalry. The swords.
They're
are
going to
slightly
have to
more
release
offensive
new
option where you
armies
get bonuses for
eventually,
fighting
and
into enemy infantry and taking
yeah,
the fight.
they're going to have to
But
dip into
both
those
effectively
Legends lists.
Heavily armored elite infantry.
Yeah, absolutely so. And you can paint them in different colours. The studio team's done a lovely job. The banner in the middle just is a really interesting nod to sort of the Zardron culture, which is, that's a ziggurat in the middle of that banner, right, with the Bullfather's rune above. They live in ziggurats.
Bought a fair amount of AOS minis for old world use recently, mostly Minotaurs. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I want to know those numbers. Like, I know it'll be kind of impossible to tell.
Favourite
like
model
just
within
from
this,
it'd be impossible to tell
it might
just
be
from
my
sales
favourite
alone.
of the Hellsmiths.
But it's a number I want to know.
It's just so good.
You know,
huge hat, great big spikes. He's carrying an enormous warglaive, which is glowing. See the runes at the top glowing with this sort of eldritch power. The war despots, they have to rule through a mixture of sort of
being guaranteed
violence,
Warhammer
and
Fantasy Battle
also just
Skaven would sell like
ensuring that
hotcakes.
everybody
They
around
would.
them knows that they are the nastiest,
Honestly, they should just
toughest
use
of
the
all
old
the
Skaven.
Hellsmiths. So
Honestly,
they
they
are
should just
dominant
sell a lot of
figures.
these Age of
Like any
Sigmar armies
Duardin,
with square
they
bases and
couldn't
make it a dual
demand
system
the
thing.
loyalty of their followers unless they were.
But GW
able
appears to be a little
lead from
obsessive
the front,
right now about
basically. So
preventing
they're
models from
they're
being
not
used in
cowardly,
two systems,
but they
except for some
certainly,
edge cases like Knights and
are
Custodes.
diabolical schemers sort of things. So they will lead their
Yeah,
armies
absolutely.
into battle proudly, but certainly not go for a fair fight.
And their whole reason for being as an entire culture is it's just like weaponized greed. They plunder and take from the land, and they.
I will
give
say
nothing
though,
back.
I'm not
They
liking
don't
the
want it,
green
they destroy
fire
it.
look
They
for
are, like,
Chaos
cool
Dwarves. They
in
should
the
be using
extreme, because
orange
that's
or
how
red
they
fire.
survived the time of chaos.
Green
they
is
don't
not their
see
color.
themselves as corrupted through that. That's an
No.
interesting
There's
kind of
no physical side effects at all to what they've gone through.
An interesting sub point. They see themselves as almost the paragons of purest order, right?
Yeah.
So they've taken the assault of chaos and they've ground it down and created like order from chaos. But in the mortal realms, they're paving over the natural order and putting up the monuments to Hashut and the great ziggurats that power their industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Also within this spearhead is just this incredible centerpiece model, the Dominator engine. It's another kit that makes two things. So here you can see the immolation cannons. This is a enormous metal creation which is animated and powered by
that looks cool.
demon energy roiling
Burning
inside it.
Crusade
Have a look
much?
at the
Yeah,
sort
it's
of
ripping off
brazier in
Warcraft
its
a little bit,
belly.
I
You
won't
can
lie.
see the demonic eyes peering out as like the demonic souls within a torch.
I love the
and
flames on
give
these
it its
things.
power.
That kind of like green into purple fire is such
I will say
a beautiful sort of
I will
aesthetic.
say that is
This
a cool looking
both
model,
an incredibly cool
but it doesn't
miniature,
look good
which I
with
think I'm
green
looking forward to
fire.
see what
They
Painters
gotta.
do with
It
this,
should be
because
like
the heavy
orange
metal one
fire,
is wonderful.
orange or
and I think
red.
once this goes out into the wild and you've got
Like classic Chaos
1,000
color.
painters painted this, it's going to be amazing. I can imagine this in beautiful non-metallics. In game, this thing is an absolute juggernaut, right? So it has a 2-up save, armor save, which in Age of Sigmar is almost unheard of. It has loads of wounds. It hits really hard. bombard. The combat version can mulch entire units. The shooting version is what you want if you want to wade into the middle of an enemy army and just set the whole thing on fire.
Only
Like
time
a
you see
lot of the
AOS
stuff in the
is
Hellsmith
kit bash
army,
material for Warhammer
their
Fantasy
kind of
Battles
army
40K.
mechanic,
Yeah, basically.
allows you to harness.
That's really
a demon
that's
power
what
on
most
specific
sales are
units, so you
probably
can
for.
bolster the power of
Not
it,
a lot of people
and
play
these
Age of
are
Sigmar.
particularly devastating.
Fantastic. And we're still not done. Also within the Spearhead, you'll find this. This is the Tormentor Bombard. The Chaos Dwarfs of old, if you cast your mind back, if you're old enough like me, to the.
You can
the world
I
that
mean,
was,
yeah, you can paint
the
it like
Chaos Dwarfs
normal
were
fire
renowned
colors,
for
but I mean, the official
devastating
color
artillery,
should be
particularly
normal
that
fire
lobbed
colors.
things far across the battlefield, and that concept has been reimagined for the Mortal Realms with this just beautiful Tormentor Bombard, raw demonic power hurled high into the air to come crashing down upon the enemy. It's deadly in the game.
Yeah, this is the war machine you use if you're being advanced on by multiple enemy units. So you can fire at a single enemy unit, and the units nearby also take damage. That's how devastating this is. Very long range. I think it shoots 30 inches, which again is very good in Age of Sigmar. I think the Hellsmiths of Hashut.
They're basically admitting this army is going to be stupid overpowered at launch in order to try to get people to buy it.
Well, let's talk a bit more about that, because I think we have the Death Shrieker rocket battery. Brilliant for just like blowing up the enemy's big impressive things, right?
Yeah, so this is a monster killer, right? So where your other war machine is the thing to take out blocks of enemy infantry and kind of massed formations, this is your... They have one big monster that I want to be dead. You can fire this at them, and this, with a fair, with decent rolls, will take out a monster in a single volley.
Yeah, you're firing essentially a demon energy imbued bolt the size of 2 Dwarden stood sort of head to toe. Yeah, it's grim.
Sorry, Age of Sigmar's put me to sleep.
This launch set also includes a battle tome. It also includes all of the War Scroll cards that you would want to have with your collection. It's the perfect jumping on point for an all-new...
Yeah, I hope Warhammer Fantasy Battles players enjoy their new Chaos Dwarf army.
But that's not it.
But that's not it.
There's more.
Why don't we show you some more? If the launch box wasn't awesome enough, they will be followed shortly thereafter with all of those incredible models that you just saw, rounding out the force into a really
old world players eating good right now.
Army.
Yeah, immediately out of the gate, you have almost a full army offer, basically, of stuff. And we start off with one of the classic units of Warhammer returning. Bull Centaurs have been part of Warhammer for, I think, almost 35 years, something like that.
I remember being charged by these when I was like 13 or 14.
In the classic red with green bases back it was in the day. But this is a heavy cavalry unit. They are basically the experts at riding down enemy forces and crushing them under their hooves. They hit very hard. They're well armored. These are the sort of manifestation of the power of Hashut in kind of form. The Duardin here have kind of warped to be more alike to their ancient ancestor god.
Yeah, absolutely. You said a thing to me earlier that I thought was really striking, which is Hashut's whole thing is like trampling the mortal realms underfoot, right? He's the Dwarden gods sort of inherited a different realm.
It would be really nice though if Sigmar got off his ass, stopped sulking and setting,
one of the
and
things
started
that comes
doing
out
something.
is the idea that there were the ancestor gods of the Dwarden, and Hashut was almost like one of them, right? He was like one of the pantheon, and he was given the realm of beasts, and he sort of felt that was almost like an insult, right? Like, I don't want the realm of beasts. So rather than trying to kind of be harmonious with it, he decided to just trample it flat. So all of his incarnation of beast power is in the form of trampling, in the form of kind of harnessing and subjugating nature.
So I wonder how the lore for Age of Sigmar explains how the Beastmen of Chaos suddenly disappeared overnight with no explanation.
These are the most devoted towards Hashut of the Hellsmiths. They guard his holy places, whatever a holy place for the Bull Father Hashut might look like. So they're much more defensive than the other Bull Centaurs, although by no means a passive unit. They're just really great at counter-punching. And when you consider how much of the force might be standing back and raining death on the enemy, very useful in their own right. You also get like a little...
Here's the thing, they won't... Essentially.
breathed into it through these.
Yeah, I love those miniatures. They might be my favourite in the range, those particular sculpts.
They key into that sort of classic imagery that we're used to from before, as does the next unit. He says, seamlessly segueing in. We'll see. So here's some variations, but we have the Infernal Razors. Now, these have got blunderbusses. And if you are long enough in the beard, you might remember Chaos Dwarf blunderbusses from yesteryear.
The absolute...
Those are cool.
like
Again,
terror of,
green
Warhammer
color is
Fantasy,
entirely wrong.
6th edition, I think.
Yeah, it was diabolical. And these are a very dangerous shooting unit in their own right. Again, they're harnessing that sort of demonic power to operate their weapons. There's no gunpowder necessary here. And the kit makes two options. So you have those and you have the flame hurlers, which, I mean, they hurl flames. There's not much more explanation particularly required.
Yeah, two really powerful units. The blunderbusses, not much to choose between them, really. They both do a great job. The blunderbusses have got a little bit more range on them. The flame hurlers can fire while you're in combat, which is really handy. So even if the
Beastmen got eaten by Tyranids. Let's just go with that. Okay.
Rule mechanic.
Don't ask questions, just consume product. Yeah, I mean, listen. Why should Games Workshop have to have actual lore for their decisions, right?
Multiple damage, which is absolutely horrific. So if the enemy is like charging your big unit of Infernal Razors, and you get like a decent round of shooting against
They really are selling these so we buy them when they're broken and then nerf them. Yeah, exactly.
They are very, very good.
Yeah, now
you know for a fact,
really
they're
is quite
basically
elite
telling you
and,
outright.
high value.
This is going to be
the other end of
overpowered
exactly.
as fuck
But
when
what
it
if you
comes
want some
out.
chaff to hurl under the the wheels of the enemy, so to speak? Good news. There is a genial relationship between the Hellsmiths of Hashut and the Hobgrots, who sort of bolster their ranks.
What do you
Hobgrots
missed?
are also really into doing awful things.
They're
desecrating the
previewing
world,
Chaos
and so
Dwarfs
they
and Age of Sigmar. By
exist
Age of
almost like a
Sigmar,
vassal state
I mean
within,
proxies from the old
Zardron
world.
culture. In exchange for better weapons than they could like forage for themselves.
Beastmen just went, screw this, we're going to a better game system. Yeah,
exactly. A really
exactly.
interesting niche in that they are faster than the Hellsmiths and they can scout, right?
They absolutely can. So the way these guys are going to fit into your army, most of your force is going to be very good at shooting, but relatively slow. So you're going to be moving on to the objectives late game, but these can scout, as you say, so you can kind of push them forward early in the game, grab those objectives, just get under the feet of enemy units. They will absolutely be used for things like trying to take a charge from something so you can set all your other units up for an amazing round of shooting, or to charge them with bull centaurs or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you will absolutely want some of these in your force. We've obviously seen Hobgrots before in the kind of Cruel Boys force, but these are armoured and equipped by the Hellsmiths themselves. So they've got slightly better armour, maybe than the ones that
none of that sort of eldritch power in the weapons, though, not for these guys.
Oh, no, they don't get to play with any of the cool demon stuff.
So let's look at some of the extra sort of heroes that join the faction. This is the Demon Smith. They are the ones who do the hellsmithing.
Hello, Gul'dan. How you doing?
You can see in this model, there's some real.
That literally just looks like Gul'dan. It's fucking shameless.
Power sort of coming out of his hand.
It's Gul'dan with a fancy hat. Like, what the hell?
Like an obsidian jade.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Like that, isn't it?
With like vile runes. I think.
Like what? Is he going to try to make the orcs drink the blood of Manaroth? Like, what the
What is
fuck?
that paint scheme, though? Whoever painted that in the heavy metal team, well done.
Yeah.
Well done,
guys.
guys.
It's just stunning. They fill a particular function because they're the ones that enable all of the sort of the hellsmithing.
Yeah, they allow the kind of army to work. In game terms, they do a particularly useful thing, as well as being a wizard, which is obviously great. They can heal your war machines as well. So
I guess the Chaos Dwarfs freed the Hobgrot
slaves. Your cannons that have been
I don't think they freed them. I think the GW guys were just joking about a
this
air
kit
quotes
has another
cordial
option in it.
relationship.
It also makes an Ashen Elder. We showed you the anointed centaurs, who are the ones who guard the holy sites. This is the person doing the rituals inside the holy sites. And you can see that petrification has started to happen to his skin.
Okay, and he just looks like...
Gets, the more
who was the
they
one
start to become like stone, their skin.
Who was the one Warlords of Draenor fucking boss with the hammer?
Hold at bay a little bit.
Not
yeah,
Ogrim Doomhammer. But he's looking like him, but with a green hammer instead of a red one.
Eulogize about how
my God, it's fucking shameless. He looks like that orc with a beard.
Yeah, so there's lots of things that are really fun about this miniature. But if we go for hammer particularly, there's not a lot of hammers.
Well, we really have come full circle. Games Workshop was ripping off. What do you got?
profane symbol to the Hellsmith because they remind
Blizzard
me
was
of
ripping
the
off
dwarven
Games
ancestor
Workshop.
gods,
Now
which really like hammers.
Games Workshop's
But
ripping
this
off
particular
Blizzard.
hammer is blessed in the blood of other Duardin priests. So he would have like found a runesmith or something, or one of the Caradron priests or something, and then slain them in a sacrifice and blessed the hammer in that blood. So that's why he's the one with the hammer when no other
So
Hellsmith
if
seem
you're
to have
a
them.
Fire Slayer player, a Caradron Overlord
they hate
player,
this guy.
like
Yeah, yeah.
pick on this guy the most, right?
The Caradrons and the Fire Slayers really do not get on with the Hellsmiths. Like there is a lot. They've got beef. Basically,
Yeah, absolutely so. There's also another character we should talk about. This is Urak Tar.
look at that.
He's the first demon smith. Back in that ancient time when the
the
Hellsmith
giant
needed
winged
to,
brazen
learn to
bull looks
survive,
really cool. I'll give them that.
He learned the secrets of this demon smithing from Hashut. He is truly ancient.
You see, when
and
they can
abominably powerful.
tard
You
wrangle
can see
their
how that
designers for
manifests
Age of
the
Sigmar,
petrification
they
on
make
the
good
back,
looking
like
stuff. That's a
deep
good looking
trenches
model.
Of, like, rock
They just have to
starting
do that
form
more
out of his
often.
flesh, horns erupting from his skull. He's mounted on an enormous infernal. My brain's just gone blank. Infernal Taurus. Just centerpiece written all over
I will
him,
say though,
incredible
I
spot
think
within the lore.
the
Wonderful.
giant
Yeah,
spell
very, very
effect
cool
over
miniature.
him
It's
looks
a
a
2-for-1
little
kit as well, which is
a
really
little
cool.
much. I feel like that you
it
could get
also
rid of
makes,
that.
your Demon Smith on Infernal Taurus. There's a bunch of options on this kit as well, which is amazing.
Yeah,
So,
see,
I actually
the
can't wait to see what
regular
changes
one
do with
looks
this
a
kit.
lot
It's gonna be
better
amazing.
without the
Just
egregious
asking
spell
for a beautiful
effects.
color scheme. You can imagine this in like beautiful non-metallics or metallics or glowing runes or
the glowing-
kind of petrified rock or something else. But again, that kind of manifestation of Hashut as never deciding to
You can make a
use
neat penitent
the
engine kit
natural
bash. It's way
materials,
too
right? It's
big for
always gonna
that.
be
It is way too
industrial in
big to
some
be a
way or
penitent
made out
engine.
of iron or
That thing
metal
is about the
stone
size
or
of a greater
something like
demon.
And the only
In fact,
wood
I think
the
it's on the
base is,
same
like,
base as a greater
burnt
demon.
to cinder.
it's
Yeah,
so
you
good.
can imagine him walking through a forest of just like that.
Yeah, should we take a look at some of the models in the flesh? We've got them here in the room with us, and
Yeah.
we can give you
I've
some
got-
sort
I've
of
got
a sense
ourselves
of
a
their
little
forms.
lineup
Yeah, look
from-
at this.
yeah, look at that.
It's looking good. Here is my personal favourite. You have the War Despot. You can see he's a very chunky looking Duardin. If I stick this Infernal Razor next to him, you get a sense of, sorry, I'm just making your life harder with the camera there, perfect. You can see
excuse
like
me.
bigger in stature, more powerful. Moving along, you have the Demon Smith and the Ashen Elder. Teeny tiny little hobgrot on the end of the line. Really quite sort of scrawny, just perfect for, subverting to your will and getting
The
through your
same,
daily work.
just for kind of scale purposes, that's the same size more or less as the Hobgrots that currently exist
Yeah.
in the Cruel Boys range, so you get an
Yeah,
idea
absolutely.
of the size. Much larger. We have the Bull Centaur there, so you can see that the power of Hashut sort of coursing through that guy. This is a fairly large cavalry miniature there. It's like on a scale with some of the kind of I guess like Agrodon sort
paint
of
the bull.
size. that
Yeah,
kind of-
make it a red bull.
Yeah, he's big.
Then give
to
it
say the least.
wings.
But not as big as.
I
Here
make
we
the
go.
funny joke.
That
was not
Even
funny
beefier.
though. Seriously,
Yeah,
that was not
yeah.
funny.
So
this is such a cool model. I think you can have a few of these in your army as well. There's a few different options for kind of heads and things. So I certainly expect to see a few of these making their way into the army.
let's bring in at least one of the artillery.
Honestly-
pieces, and then
Right,
we'll
so-
get to,
Honestly, yeah, the
main
big
event.
bull thing, you could turn that into an Iron
steal
Warriors
some of
kit
these
bash.
guys.
Run out of
probably.
space. There's too much stuff in this release. It doesn't all fit on the table.
I don't think anybody will be complaining. There we go. So you can see the two war machines.
Again, these have got like really lovely little dioramas on the back. So you've got multiple characters sort of with different roles across the artillery piece, like
Yeah, absolutely.
funneling the demonic power into the engine or stoking the furnace and that sort of thing. A little bit like
Don't
the
forget
Votan
GW ripped off
artillery
the
soldiers there. These are just,
Gundabad
like,
orcs from
wonderful
the Hobbit
pieces in
movies
their
from
own
the
Yeah,
Cool
but let's
Boys.
bring in Urak
That
Tar,
I
shall we?
Yeah, he's the big guy. Here we
didn't.
go.
Round
That I
this
don't
all
remember.
out.
But if they did,
So
that's
I
kind of
mean,
shitty.
this is it's a fairly big model.
Towers above even the Dominator engine.
There we go.
Yeah, that thing's greater demon sized.
Just exceptional. There'll be loads more pictures.
And
of
again,
this
if you
on
snip off the
warhammercommunity.com,
excessive spell effects coming off his staff, it's a
and,
good looking model.
You can see it all in more detail. There's probably some bits and pieces.
Like I
of
like
information
that
we
model. It's
left
cool
out.
looking. These models
we
are cool
need to
looking, but
move
again,
on.
Yeah,
all
we
the cool
did.
Age
Right,
of
that was
Sigmar
very
models
cool. Very
are
Before I
just
do, one
Warhammer
more thing.
Fantasy Battle
I'm aware that
models
lots
in
of
the
people
wrong
chat
setting.
might be keen to know about Warcry and whether or not Warcry is relevant here. The Warhammer Studio team are going to publish rules for using Hellsmiths of Hashut for Warcry when they release.
Yep.
So keep your eyes peeled on the Warhammer community website. There'll be a free download that lets you try out some of the Hellsmith models in Warcry in your games.
Yeah, so not only will there be a full new army for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, they will also feature as an entire new faction in Warcry as well.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
also
Yes, it would be nice if we segued seamlessly into the Warhammer Underworlds. So welcome to Spikewood. This is an expansion for Warhammer Underworlds.
Okay, so they're just doing the same faction, but in
the scene
Underworlds.
is essentially, you're in the Spikewood, you have a Hellsmiths of Hashut warband fighting against the Kenothi. So it really is industry versus nature.
Just remember, carrying on
there's a
Overlords were
strong
thinking it
rivalry
was the steampunk money
in the Mortal
dwarves.
Realms between
Just remember
the
they exist.
Hellsmiths, who are all about
Yeah,
like,
I forget
as you
they
say,
exist most
trampling
of the
nature
time,
underfoot,
too.
and the Sylvaneth, who are all about protecting nature, and the Kenothi are a particularly kind of warlike aspect of that, following the kind of absent hunter god Kurnoth. So they will defend the wild places of the Mortal Realms.
Yeah, so here you can see the two warbands. So this is an expansion, as we say, for Emberguard, and you have the Hellsmiths, you have the Kenothi. The Blood of the Bull.
You're
is
shocked
the
they haven't
Hellsmith
killed off
unit.
Warcry?
Bottom
Yeah,
left-hand
same,
corner,
that or
you have
Underworlds.
A War Despot, her.
Which is
army
funny because
advancing
Warcry
into
and
the Spikewood
Underworlds
has
are
suffered
the
a
actual
reversal.
good Age of Sigmar
So she's
games.
regrouped with her sort of remaining warriors, her inner circle, and she's waiting on reinforcements before she can raise the place to the ground. So she finds herself.
Almost now we're in. Yeah, we haven't even got Horus Heresy
And you've
Kill
got some
Team or
great
Black
archetypes in the
Library
mix
yet.
there as well. I particularly like the Hobgrot.
He deserves a call out, doesn't he?
He does, because if you've been playing Warhammer for a very long
You're
time,
just gonna go make a
you
cup
may
of November
remember
Juliet while they
Hobgoblins
yap
from
about
Warhammer
the Age of
Fantasy Battle.
Z.
And
Yeah.
There was a unit called
The
Cutters, I think it
Underworld
was,
should be
Translated.
Underworld should be the last thing they
He
do.
is basically a homage
What even is
to
Underworld?
really
It's
lovely.
like
Yeah,
it's like a hex
they've
grid
got,
kind of
their rules
map-based,
reflect that sort of plunder,
you know,
take what you want,
team versus team
decimate the
game.
landscape just for the joy of it sort of mentality.
It's
The
kind of
other
like a
warband in
much
this set,
simpler version of
is,
Warcry.
he says, well, there we go.
That's the most.
Kurnoth,
That's the most I know
Herald,
about the rules.
There's three of them in the kit. They make these Kenothi. The thing to point out with them in terms of like their rules and how they play is that they're very defensive because they're holding what they've got. They're not interested in stealing other people's stuff. They just want to protect their woods. And so while they're in their own area of the board, if you're an Underworld player, you'll be familiar with the sort of mechanic. They're better, so they're better at defending their own
So
objectives.
it's quite an
Warhammer
interesting warband
Slumber
then, because
Worlds.
they're quite a fast
Yeah,
warband,
that's a
and
good
usually
one.
you expect that to be quite aggressive,
Yeah.
but your bonuses are for defensive play.
Yeah, so redeploying, fighting in different areas in your own area, and just
I love these miniatures. I think we've seen Kenothi in Underworlds before, and this is a kind of expansion of that. But I think this is a phenomenally cool looking warband.
I looked at them too long, and I'm really disturbed by their gemstones glowing
You
in
said
their
that
belly
you don't like the
buttons.
glowing
Yeah,
belly
it's
buttons.
Something about it, man.
I dig it. I dig it. I'm here for glowing belly buttons.
So there we go. Awesome stuff also for Warhammer Underworlds. What an awesome set of releases for Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
And 10 years of Warhammer.
That's a
Sigmar
really
as
fair
well.
point. Yeah. 10 years ago this month, we saw the arrival of the Mortal Realms, the birth of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And we're going
Yes,
to
we did, and we
showing
regret it.
over the coming year a whole bunch of interesting things to do with the Mortal Realms. So if you enjoy Warhammer Age of Sigmar, you're in for a good time.
Yeah. It's taken the Hellsmiths a long time to get here, hasn't it?
Yeah, it
but
was
then they
worth the
are
wait.
only movement 4. So
Raph has respectably reminded us that there is in fact 5 more things to
Oh,
talk
there's
about.
more. Look at this.
And we're already getting the move along sign. There are
All right,
4
what's next?
more boxes coming for Warhammer Underworlds. Each box contains 4 warbands. Each box also synergizes with a particular faction. So this is the Order one, the Seekers in Shadow, and it contains 4 warbands from the Order faction, Grand Alliance, I should say. This is the Death one. These are the Reavers of Ruin, the Chaos warbands, and we've saved my favourite to last because I'm allowed to. The Gits and Goliaths, the Destruction warbands. Each anybody who plays Warhammer Underworlds will know.
I really do think Underworlds and
home into a different part
Warcry are where the
multi-realm setting.
majority of the
And you
consistently
get 4 in a
good
box.
Age of
It's just-
Sigmar stuff comes
It's
from.
delightful. To
Including-
play with them, you would
including
need
from
to
what I
pick up
understand
this,
with
which is the
Warcry, the
Warbands of
rules.
Spikewood. Contains all the
Because
cards and
Warcry
everything
doesn't
you
do that
want.
thing
So
where
whether
you get,
fancy
you know,
playing
2
them
turns,
in Warhammer
2
Underworld,
turns back to back,
seamlessly
just table
integrating
your
them,
opponent turn
with their War
1.
Scroll cards into Warhammer Age of Sigmar, or just having some different hobby experiences. There's 16 opportunities in 4 boxes.
Every one of those boxes is all killer, no filler. There are some beautiful miniatures in there, including the crab, the Ideneth crab is back.
Perfect. Yeah. So I think we actually are at the end of the Warhammer. Age of
We
Sigmar
are
section
now at the end of the Mortal Realms.
It would be a good time to check in on Question Corner and see if there are in fact any questions.
Yeah, there's loads. People are very, very excited to hear about the Hellsmiths joining Warcry.
Oh boy, more canned questions
Really
pretending to be
pleased
live
because, we want them to
questions.
be able to play with them and enjoy them.
Yeah, and of course the range is stunning, so people are super pumped about that.
Is
so
Underworld's
there's a
basically
bit of
Kill
confusion
Team for
about the,
Fantasy? No,
Grand
War
Alliance
War
that they come
Cry
from.
is Kill
So
Team for
presumably
Fantasy.
they come from the Chaos Grand
Underworlds
Alliance.
is something
So how
else.
do they fit in with the rest of the Chaos?
Yeah, so I can take that one. So the Hellsmith of Hashut have a slightly interesting relationship with several factions in the Mortal Realms. They are definitely in the Chaos Grand Alliance. So despite what they themselves believe, they probably are corrupted by Chaos at least a little bit.
You don't get to play with that much demon power.
No,
and
I mean
not
you
be-
have tusks growing out of your face and horns growing out,
and you're turning to stone.
yeah, I mean something's got a little bit demonic there. But they would consider themselves as kind of champions of order, but they are in the Chaos Grand Alliance. They also trade with the various forces of Chaos, so perhaps Chaos warlords and things would go to their ziggurats and be served with like weapons that they forged in exchange for bounty that they've collected across the realms. They also have a kind of symbiotic relationship with the Hobgrots.
They're
and have
so
traded with, like, the Cruel Boys
stalling.
and things like that.
The
But they
gold
are
40k is
Chaos Grand
hilarious.
Alliance.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think
So,
Kill
how
Team is
does,
probably going to be
Hashut
next.
fit in with the Chaos Pantheon? Does he want
Really,
to become one?
really badly.
Yeah, it does not play well with others as a recurring theme, really.
So he is part of the pantheon of the Dwarven gods, right? But he feels ostracized. They understandably want to ostracize him. So the Hellsmiths kind of vilely resent the other Dwarven gods. It's a very fractious relationship, which is why there's such vitriol between them. Great questions. Thank you very much. We need to go to our next setting.
Okay, here we go.
Which we will do by moving to the timeline of the Horus Heresy.
Oh, Horus Heresy. Here we go.
There are a multitude of great releases coming if you play Legions Imperialis. It's all tanks.
Whirlwind and Scorpius
So if you're a
So many
treadhead,
tanks.
settle
So
in
many tanks.
and we'll take you on a tour. Several boxes of fantastic plastic kits that make some really interesting additions to your army.
I'm liking that design
on
of
screen now you can
Whirlwind.
see the Whirlwind and Scorpius set. It's 8 of those, 4 of each. And so if you want to just rain death
I
on
wonder if
the
they're going to
enemy,
redo the
blow them out of
Whirlwind
their
for
cover. This
regular
really
Horus
is a
Heresy, because
wonderful
I
way to do
like
it.
that design
Built
for
on
the
that
missile
famous
turret.
Rhino chassis, as is the Vindicator Siege Tank Squadron. Essentially, what's the biggest gun you can stick on a Rhino? Oh, it appears to be a gun with a breach
What
big
if I
enough to
want?
stuff a
I
whole
want an
Space
even
Marine
bigger
in it.
gun, though, Adam. I want a bigger gun.
You want to do a heavier siege
I want a
than
heavier
that.
siege gun than that.
Well, I've got some very good news
Oh, that's
for you.
it. That's exactly it.
The Typhon Heavy Siege
Okay,
Tank Squadron
Typhon
is on
siege
the
tanks,
way.
those look cool.
It's even bigger and more dangerous than the Vindicator. And you get like a nice guy with a flamer just warming things up and making sure that everything goes
Is
according
he
to plan.
contributing? Like,
30
by the
30k
time you've been
Whirlwind
shot by the
coming.
siege gun, how
Looks
much
like
of a
a
flamethrower
looks
do
like
you
a
need?
good
I imagine
prediction,
he's just
yeah.
like baking off what's left, you know,
Maybe,
like drive
yeah,
through and he's
maybe.
like, you're getting some and you're getting some. So if you want to blow things up from further away, maybe there's a Titan Squadron that offends you, then you could do a lot worse than the Cerberus Heavy Tank Destroyer Squadron. These are firing turbo
stand up a
lasers.
bit.
That guy's offering you a fist bump. It is a wonderful time to be driving tanks over the enemy.
Some debate
I really
in the
wish
office
they
as to
brought
whether
back,
it's a heavy tank
just
destroyer
brought back Epic
or a
40K
heavy tank
instead of making
destroyer.
it
Yeah, exactly.
strictly
We've had
Horus
some-
Heresy.
Let us know in the chat which one you think it is.
Do you think it's
That
a,
would've been
it's
cool.
a heavy tank for destroying or a tank for destroying heavy things?
You love the super
Possibly
greebled
not.
up World War I tanks. 40k is really good for that.
Tanks. It's so heavy, it's super heavy. It's the Mastodon assault transport. What if you want to just pack Space Marines into a tank, drive it across the battlefield, open your gates, and charge?
That
into
thing is,
enemy stronghold,
those things
having
are
leveled the
hilarious
walls
in
with a
Horus
melter
Heresy.
array,
They're just thunder.
then this is
They
the
are
way for
literally
you to
just
do so.
ground
Even got its own
Thunderhawks,
anti-aircraft system on
but
the
with
top,
more guns.
and the pilot of that is offering you a crisp fist bump as well. I imagine he gets on great with the other guy.
It's sort of a 30,000 equivalent of a siege tower, isn't it?
I
That's
love
that
it.
kind of vibe.
The design on this, we've seen this at like standard Warhammer 40,000 scale. It's beautiful. It's still beautiful at small scale. It's just little.
I love the giant
so
triple barrel
those
melta
kits,
gun on the nose.
Like loads and loads of tanks, the Treadheads rejoice. All of the rules for those, in fact, all of the rules for all of the units in Legions Imperialis can be found in Liber Strategia. Essentially, a thing that combines all of the rules and puts them in one place. If you've got a copy of the core rulebook and got a copy of this, you are ready to rock and roll, along with a whole bunch of other rules content. There's too much to go into here and now.
Okay,
but
so
have a look in the
regular
afterwards. It's
Horus
gonna be on
Heresy
Warhammer
should be
Community,
next.
and we'll talk more about it closer to the launch. What if you really like the letters A through F and you want to mark objectives and or token effects? We're releasing a really just useful set of token markers for you to use in your games. I find these sort of things very useful for reminding me what effects are going on in the game. And then there's all the formation and data sheets you need for your Legions Imperialis.
So there's a chance
game.
of one,
The
chance of
team
one for a
responsible for
plastic.
setting
There's a
have
chance for a
really
plastic one heroic
just done a
scale now.
cracking job
Epic ones
making
normally
sure
just
that,
scale down
like,
3D models.
the
Yeah,
rules are
usual. That's usually
accessible,
how they
you get
work.
hold of
Yeah.
them. It's really fun time. I'm very
Yeah,
impressed.
kind of compiled a lot of stuff together into a much more
absolutely.
convenient way of approaching
I've got a
it,
good
doesn't it?
friend who's super into it, and he was asking me about like how he gets all of his rules together, and I just had to sit there
I'd like them to
quietly
do
knowing
one for
that-
40K
That'd be great if
proper
they're all
because
available.
it's very clear they
praise
based
being
this
asked.
on the 8th edition
There's more
Apocalypse
stuff
rules
set
that they
within
never
the Age of Darkness
we followed up on.
teased these in the Saturnine preview, but we have the Mark II Assault Squad. So I think we showed one before,
We
didn't we?
did, yeah. I absolutely
Okay, those
love
are cool
these.
as
So
fuck.
this is the new Mark II Assault Marines. Mark II is kind of one of the more brutal looking of the various different Space Marine armor marks, and these guys have ramped that up even further.
I love
You've
the
got,
jump,
some
the Mark
options
II
in this
jump
kit, so
packs.
A variety of different
Just like
weapon
strap
options.
2 jet
The
engines to my
coolest
back.
of
I
them
got this,
is
homie.
The chain axe, which is an optional free upgrade to the chainsword that comes normally with your Assault Marines.
Yeah, and so the kit's loaded with chain axes. It even has heavy chain axes for extra clout.
I like
Think of
how
them as slightly slower than
industrial
chain
Mark
axes,
II
but they
armor
have
looks.
Like
Chainsaws.
more
You know?
sorry, chainsaws, but they have a more dangerous effect. Absolutely. There are points-free alternative. So if you
World Eaters,
buy these,
World
it's
Eaters
just, straight
eating good
points,
right now. Yeah,
no
they
points
are.
involved.
These
It's
are
like kick
these got
If
such
you're
a
dying
World
to
Eater
have that
vibe to
classic
them.
chainsaw
I love it.
loadout, then there's some
World
good
Eaters
reasons. You
and
can swap the
Iron
arms with the
Warriors,
ones that are on
honestly.
the Mark 6 Assault Marines, or you can just get them from the upgrade kit. But I think compliance has never looked better than it does with a chain axe.
There's some great different options in there as well. You've got a couple of heavy chain axes too, which is another upgrade you can put onto some of the models. The Sergeant's got the option for some pistols and close combat weapons. And as you can see with the Salamander on the screen there as well, you can also equip them with
Honestly, I
combat
want him to
shields.
release Mark
So
7.
loads
Then,
of different things,
then
you
the
can
collection will
choose
be
to mix them
complete.
in with. I would imagine we're also going to see some of these.
There was a
converted with
little
all the
bit of
different
Mark
Space
7
Marine kits.
armor
One
in
of
the
lovely
Heresy. They can
things about
justify
the Horus
it.
Heresy is that so many of the kits are really interchangeable with each other, so you can take bits and heads and arms and weapons and stuff and really create it.
I really like the breastplate on these. That high gorget looks fantastic. They're just fantastic looking models. Well done them. There's more coming as well. We previewed the Journal Tactical, which is available to order right now. In fact, all of Saturnine is available to order right now. There's a new Journal Tactical on the horizon. It's called the Forges of Saturn, and this is really all about Vulcan's gift to his brothers through the Saturnine project, and so it focuses very heavily on all of those suits of armor that we've seen in the Saturnine box.
Yeah, there's loads of great new options in this book, particularly allowing you to do more stuff with your Saturnine miniatures. So there are different, basically, things that you can do to your Saturnine miniatures using other kits.
Okay,
mixing
I'm
kits
loving
together
those
to create new
gigantic
units. So this is a really
axes
great
and
example.
hammers on the
This is the
Saturnine
Saturnine
Terminators.
Command
Those look so
what
fucking
you've got
cool.
here is a unit that's taken bits from the Command Squad sprues and also some spare bits from someone who's built a Saturnine Praetor with his axe. You get the hammer spare. You can now give it to characters in your Saturnine Command Squad and basically make them into a champion. The other option that you can have inside this is to make one of your Saturnine Terminators into a Saturnine Centurion. That's the Thousand Suns guy on the far left there. Saturnine Centurion means that you could now have like 2 tiers of Saturnine Commander you can have in your army, and effectively unlocks the ability to have an entire Saturnine styled army if you wanted to.
Yeah, one of the topics
That is cool.
that's,
I like
handled
that.
inside this Journal Tactica is the way the Legions embraced Saturnine armor. Obviously, to use it at all requires you to be at least to some extent psychically sensitive. That really plays into the hands of the Thousand Suns.
Thousand Suns love it. It's my favourite.
But there's all sorts of things. It's not just the Thousand Suns that sort of get the rub in this. So there'll be
Yeah,
lots to
the
enjoy, and
Saturnine
I'll tell you more
armor
about
in
it
the
as
Thousand
we get
Suns
closer.
color
Yeah,
looks
there's some really interesting
amazing.
stuff about how
Like,
the different
actually
legions have sort of
amazing.
embraced it. So the Thousand Suns have sort of used it as intended to some extent and kind of put all of their psychic pilots inside.
Honestly,
them.
these would make
the word bearers
for-
immediately
for an
crammed
Iron
it full of
Warriors
demons just to
army,
see what would
these would
happen.
make
But all
really
of the
good,
legions, to some extent,
obliterators.
recognize the lethality of Saturnine technology and find a place for it in their legions.
Perfect. Right. We're still not quite done in this sort of area of the timeline. I am super excited to be able to announce today on behalf of the Black Library that there is a new mega series.
Up the
on
Scouring.
way.
There it
This
is.
The Scouring. This is book 1 called Ashes of the Imperium, and this kicks off a multi-book, multi-author mega series set in the ashes of the Imperium. It's a perfect title. The Horus Heresy is ended. The Emperor is
I think they're gonna do the-
mortally wounded, enshrined upon the Golden Throne. The War Master is dead.
the fighting
forces
between,
of the
Guilliman
traitor
and
legions
Dorn.
are in full retreat. What happens next? So this series begins essentially at that premise, and here we have a very understandable confrontation between a battered and damaged Rogel Dawn and Rabute Gilliman, who has arrived pristine with reinforcements, and as you can see, they're at loggerheads already.
I actually can't wait for this.
Super excited for us to be announcing this today, because this is the culmination of a lot of work and effort between a really sort of carefully assembled cabal of writers and creatives that have been plotting out a multi-book series, which we're going to see play out over several years. I'm really, really excited by this.
I think you were saying to me earlier on that there's kind of like 3 core themes, aren't there, that's being explored through this.
So in a nutshell, and without spoiling anything,
Jordan loses a hand until he air quotes died.
Spoiler-free. There are 3 principal themes. Theme number 1 is what happens with the legions Astartes, right? They've essentially caused all of this, or their brothers have. They've ruined the work of the Great Crusade. The Imperium is in tatters. What is the place for the Space Marine legions in the wake of this catastrophe? For the traitor legions, the second of these sort of perspectives, the War Master is dead. Their whole purpose for doing this has now failed. The Chaos Gods withdraw some of their power. So suddenly they thought they were onto a good thing, and now they're relatively alone. And
now, what I want to know is, are they going to, like I was saying earlier, are they going to extend the gameplay for tabletop into the Scouring?
Which is what of humanity, right? They've just watched these demigods wage war across the Imperium, ruin everything, destroy the Emperor's great
More than
works,
likely, Lancelot, yeah.
Wounded. How do they respond? How does humanity rally, and how does it perceive the place of the Space Marine legions that remain?
Absolutely, and I think worth saying as well, this is absolutely, you can treat this as a self-contained series.
Oh yeah.
If you have read all of the Horus Heresy from Horus Rising all the way through the full novel series, and then gone through the Siege of Terror, first of all, very well done. There's a lot of books to read, some great stories in there.
Yeah,
but if
70
you are
plus
new
books
to the Horus Heresy and kind of the setting and the era, you can absolutely just jump in with Ashes of the Imperium and treat the Scouring as a series in its own right.
Yeah,
we've actually seen Gilliman die to Fulgrim in 40k, the Dark Imperium series.
He is a true gangster of words. He's written some of the really fantastic Black Library.
Oh yeah,
novels.
by the way, Chris Wright writing this,
you just want to dip your
top
toes
tier,
in ahead of
top
trying
tier.
this.
It's going to be a
I
good
could not
book.
recommend
I'm
enough
calling it
Baldur
now.
Birth of the
Chris
Imperium.
Wright
It
rarely
sits
goes wrong.
outside the rest of
In
the
fact, I can't
Horus
think of
Heresy,
a time he has gone wrong.
Experienced a little bit,
yeah.
And it's like top tier Black.
Yeah, it
Library
happened.
fiction.
Yeah, it
That
happened
might
in
be
the
a fun way
first
to sort of
Dark Imperium
whet your
book.
appetite
There's a
for more Chris
flashback where
Wright.
it happens.
As we
They can always
approach the
cover
release
it
of
again,
this, we're
though.
gonna
I mean,
have a
hey, why
full-length
not?
interview with Chris talking about Ashes of the Imperium and all of the care and consideration that's gone into it and the narrative that unfolds. More on that on Warhammer Community as we have.
Mech, there's been one. It was by Mike
awesome.
Brooks, and it was
I
awful.
really am super excited for it. We're not done yet.
We're not even close.
We promised that we would return to the grim darkness of the Dark Millennium, and we do now with 5 new Space Marine heroes for 5 of the first founding chapters.
Right, this is Vulcan Heston.
Ah,
So this
nice.
is
Vulcan
a model
Heston's
returning
getting a
that's
new mini.
previously been in
that
metal and
looks
resin and
good.
is now in plastic.
That
Vulcan
looks
Heston
really
is
good.
a famed hero of the Salamanders chapter, and his particular mission is to scour the galaxy looking for the relics left by his Primarch, the namesake Vulcan. He wears some of those relics himself, so he is equipped with an artificer suit of armor. He is carrying a handheld heavy flamer and a blade of Vulcan that crackles with magma fire.
Damn,
and is
that
able to
looks
slice through enemy
nice.
warriors. He's also walking through flames, just in case you weren't sure he was as cool as he can be.
A lot of
He's
Firstborn
just,
gear on the
walking through
kit,
fire there
too.
as well. He is probably the most iconic Salamanders character that exists in Warhammer 40,000, and it's great to see him in plastic. He has a couple of head options. You can have helmeted or unhelmeted. And
Health and safety first.
Both of them look very, very cool indeed. He is only one of the 5 new Space Marine characters. on the
next
way.
up we have a very
it's my
iconic
boy!
and well-known hero returning in a new incarnation. Darnell
Fucking love
Lysander,
Lysander.
first captain of the first company, I probably should say, of the Imperial Fists chapter.
I'm buying one of those.
He's been
I don't even
remade
play
in the
Imperial
sort of,
Fists. I'll buy on tabletop.
new Terminator
But I'll buy
style that
one.
we saw for the first time.
Yeah,
in,
the same scale
That's a
as
great
the
model.
in the recent Warhammer 40,000.
and he is
It
a
is just the
substantial
old
man
kit,
in that
like
armor. He has
updated.
an
That's all it
enormous
needed to be.
Storm shield. He's carrying that incredible looking thunder
Might be the
hammer.
best Storm Shield in Warhammer. It's up there, isn't
It's
it?
right up
It's up
there,
there.
yeah. I think the Lion might argue with you, but we're talking top 3, right? Everything you'd expect from this iconic hero of the Imperial Fists chapter.
Nice to see a helmeted option in there.
Yeah, absolutely. They're taking the.
If you don't want to paint a face, and sometimes you just want to get him on the battlefield nice and fast.
Paint him as a
if it
Templar?
wasn't yellow, I
Don't
don't know,
tempt
I might
me.
find it easy to paint the flesh, to be honest. He is not the only. There are 5 of them altogether. So next up we have Canok Var, a new character for the Iron Hands chapter. This is,
he's cool looking.
The captain of the Averni clan.
Yeah. The equivalent to your kind of captain of the
Man,
first
he is
company.
Borg to the
Again, a
nines,
Terminator
Jesus.
in the same scale as the recent new Terminator kits. Some really lovely little features on here, really leaning into the kind of Iron Hands lore. You've got lots of nods towards his technological know-how and their kind
I'm
of
loving the
alliance with
giant
the
power
Adeptus
beat
Mechanicus.
stick that he's
sort
got.
of
That's
servo
really
skulls
cool.
attached by data tethers, sort of conjuring information.
Like,
Look
it's
at the
not a
one at the bottom
thunder
right
hammer,
corner.
it's
He
just
looks
a
like
beat
he's
stick.
projecting a fortress of
For
redemption.
beating
Got like a little
things.
holograph
With a stick.
of perhaps a building that they're planning to besiege.
And
or
I
something.
think my favourite thing on this model is actually the power maul, which is shaped after a Tetsubo, not a weapon I'm used to seeing. And
Yeah,
it
yeah,
really
yeah, they're
works
bringing
on
it up,
this
the
nice sort of
power maul.
straightforward, practical, extremely brutal. Next up, and I think for many people this will be the sort of
This one's
White Scar on a
model
bike.
which fires your imagination. The Raven Guard have a new chapter master.
Absolutely love this guy.
Wait, new chapter
the new
master?
chapter master of the Raven Guard. And you might be saying, Eddie, they already have a chapter master. What happened to Shrike? Shrike has led the Raven Guard for some years, but has decided that actually his place is better in the shadows as the captain of stealth assaults, and he has left Etheon Shan to lead the Raven Guard as their.
I don't know how I
their
feel about
figurehead,
this
their
one.
commander, and the
I
miniature is
I like
absolutely
most
phenomenal.
of it.
We very
I
recently
feel
had
like the
Logan
feather
Grimnar
cape is a
released,
bit much.
I think only this last weekend, and this continues.
Yeah, I feel like the feather
tradition of
cape is a
having
bit
just an
much.
Absolutely,
But I like the
phenomenally
rest.
Cool-looking chapter master miniature.
Yeah, he's redolent in sort of the imagery of the Raven Guard chapter that you'd expect to see. There's those
Yeah,
sort of
Dragon Rage. Apparently
tassels
Shrike
that
stepped
dangle
down.
him
He's
with
still
these sort of
alive.
secret
He's just
runic
not
grip
chapter
of
master
deliverance.
anymore.
He's got feathers and fetishes.
those
and
claws.
He's got 3 head options. Aethon Shan is a really just tremendous centerpiece model, and I think the Raven Guard fans out there are going to be delighted by.
I mean, okay, gotcha. Shrike is
and
the
there's one
dick-ass rogue of the Space Marine chapter masters.
Saboten Khan
there it
He
is.
is the first
White Scar on a
captain
bike!
Of the White Scar
It's a White
chapter.
Scar on a bike!
So he leads its first company on
The
this
last side of the
just
apocalypse!
mighty-looking,
A White
Rav
Scar on
bike.
chapter master
It's
on
got
a leader on a
a
bike.
Gatling cannon mounted into the front. He's just the perfect embodiment of that White Scar's hero huntsman archetype.
He looks.
Yeah,
oh
it's
god,
very,
he
very
looks
cool.
cool.
There's
So
all
fucking
sorts
cool.
Of beautiful Chigorian details on him there. You can see the kind of pattern on the front of the jet bike is very reminiscent of some of their Heresy era designs on their dreadnoughts and things like that. We've got the model with us in a second. We're going to have a kind of a look at it, but there's some beautiful detail on the back. He's got kind of Chigorian shields and sheaths and decapitated enemy heads and stuff like that.
That
It's just
that is
the
such a
most White
rad
Scars
fucking
looking
model,
thing
and he's got a
you've
fucking
ever seen.
power lance
That
too,
fits
or
beautifully in an army
halberd.
if you've got lots of outriders and.
Not
factories
enough
and stuff.
pole arm representation among
It's been
Space
quite a long
Marine
wait
options.
for the White Scars
Yeah,
to have
absolutely.
a character on a bike.
The
And
characters
Yeah,
don't
exactly,
work
Kilo.
government,
Spear
so
chads,
no,
rise up.
Really beautiful. How do I get my hands on these? You say there's some questions to answer there. There's a series of combat
Oh,
patrols
combat
coming out.
patrols,
Listen carefully,
okay.
I'll explain the one piece of nuance to this. Saboten Khan is in the White Scars combat patrol. You see it here. It's 3 Outrider bikes, an Intercessor Assault Squad, a transport, and Saboten Khan. He will be available separately not that long after the release of this
Okay,
combat
the
patrol.
whole kit,
He's the only
the
one of
whole
these
box
heroes that
is
comes inside the
mobile.
combat
That's
patrol.
good.
The others are available separately, but here are the combat patrols that come out with them. So you have an Imperial Fist combat patrol, just full of heavily armored Imperial Fist
Okay,
troops.
that's
You've
a
got,
good combat patrol. I
Terminators
like that.
And a command group, and it just looks wonderful.
That is a good
Next
balanced
up,
combat
Iron
patrol.
Hands, heavy intercessors,
Okay.
heavy weapons, everything you might expect from these tough, durable warriors.
Don't know how I
of
feel
the
about that
Iron,
one.
Hands chapter. The Raven Guard, a bit more.
Fast and Phobos.
Yeah, fast. That's good. I like
Okay,
that. That was
Raven
fun.
Guard, I
yeah,
think might
you know,
synergize
they're gonna get in
nice.
amongst it much
Fast,
faster.
you know,
Imagine
sneaky,
Aethon Shan
like they
leading
should be.
those, It'll be tremendous. But what if you just want to carry all the flames all the time?
Yeah.
Every model in this entire combat patrol has something that makes you hotter.
Either a melter gun or a flamethrower.
Okay,
in
I
some
like
way,
how
shape,
they're
or
sticking to
form.
the
I
theme.
think there's some assault intercessors who maybe ruin my attempt.
But
no.
I
But
don't
you
know
know
how
what?
I
That
feel
is a
about
lot of
the
flamer
speeder
and or melter,
being in there. I feel like they could have put something else in there with
The
a
new
melter.
transfers in those kits as well. Adam, I know you were a very big fan of that when we were looking through.
Hit
kits.
on my like secret nerd part of Warhammer. I get really excited by transfer sheets. I can't do freehand to save my life, but I can stick a decal on with the best of them. Each of these will come with its own transfer sheet, which means that you can apply all the details of the heraldry and everything. There's loads of cool extras.
Raven
on
Guard
there.
should be in
Case
Phobos
point,
more
the
often,
Imperial Fist one
honestly.
has
It's
some
very
decals
much their
that do
style.
Crimson
You know,
Fists.
like real,
So
the fuck,
if
it's
you
fucking
were,
sneaky
a
beaky
fan
shit,
of
you
the
know?
Crimson Fist's successors, then you can fill your boots. We'll show you those ahead of time so you can sort of plan your purchases and your painting experiences as we get closer to these.
Yeah,
have a look at the models.
Yeah, I've got some of the miniatures right here. We've got some kind of classic stuff, so you can see the scale of them, and we've also got some.
Okay,
of the miniatures.
okay, real
so
talk.
If we start off, over here with the Raven Guard
Salamanders,
side, I've brought
Imperial
along
Fists, and
Regular.
Assault
White
Interceptor
Scars
side. It's not a small model by
absolutely
any
win
stretch of the
here.
Imagination, but you sort of get a sense of how big the new chapter master of the Raven Guard is there. He's on a big base.
I don't know
He's
how
quite
I really still don't know how I feel about that
character.
Raven
Certainly going to
Guard
be the
guy.
largest of your
I
infantry
might have to
models,
think on it a
probably
bit.
standing not far off the height of a
But
Redemptor
yeah, Imperial
Dreadnought at the
Fists,
top of his
White
base
Scars,
What's interesting is you
and,
have a chance to rock to
Imperial
sort of
Fists,
raise
White
them
Scars,
up a little.
and
But,
Salamanders,
Darneth Lysander is
absolutely
such a
eating
brute
good with these
that,
character
he's
minis.
not that much shorter than either of the two models you just mentioned. He really is very dominating. And then
Yeah, Lysander's a big
Bo-Katan,
boy,
next to
Jesus.
an Outrider. First of all, check out
Very
the
chunk.
sort of similarities between the stylings, the sort of the shape of the bike, very sort of reminiscent of the things that you see on the Outrider. But if you spin it around, check out some of
There
the
are
details
so
on the
many
back.
lovely details.
Yeah, that
I
hover bike
really
looks
like
so
the
good.
Shield. There's some sheaths. There's some extra weapons. There's like as well as having
Raven Guard,
loads of lovely details.
Raven
there's also
Guard is
loads of
cool,
space
but I'm
if you want to
biased.
do some,
Shrike, I
Shigori
know
and
why
free
you're
hand or
biased.
something
You're
like that.
literally
I
Shrike.
think that's going to be up there with the Golden Demons and things, so that where people choose
It's
the
it's
models.
exciting to see what people
really
do
nice.
with it.
The
So,
hood saves the Raven
there
Guard
we
guy.
are.
Honestly,
Space Marine,
he looks
Surely-
better with
surely
the
that's all the
hood. Yeah, I
Space
kind of
Marine we
agree
have
with
time
that.
for.
But normally I go
you
for
say that,
helmeted,
but there's
but
a little
yeah.
bit more Space Marine on the way. This one's really exciting for me because I got to help a little bit on the team that have brought this to life. I am over the moon to present the first ever officially licensed wearable Space Marine helmet. This is the Lieutenant Titus Mark 10 helmet.
Oh, it's a
made by
Joy Toy. Joy Toy
If
made
you've
it.
not heard
Okay,
of
then it's
Joy Toy,
probably
where have you
quality.
been,
Joy Toy does
hiding?
good shit.
Joy Toy make beautiful action figures under license from Games Workshop. They do Warhammer 40,000 ones, and they do Warhammer Age of Sigmar ones,
Titus's
and they do
Mark
Warhammer
10
Horus Heresy
helmet.
ones, and now they have made this incredible helmet. It's just really
That
something.
is kinda tempting,
and,
not gonna lie.
I can talk about some of its
I don't know
features.
what the fuck I'd
Inside,
do with
got an
it, but it's
adjustable
tempting.
Sort of headbands, you can change it to fit your head. What that means is that unless you've got the teeniest, tiniest of heads, like a small child or a grot, you should be able to make it fit. I have the most preposterous, like, potato head
I
imaginable.
think I'm going to say what everyone is thinking, which is just put it on. Adam.
Yeah,
Just
I
give it a
will.
look like.
But before I do, so this is the prototype that we've been sort of working with them on. And before I do, I'm going to flip
Game
a
Review, we're
switch,
making it any other
'cause
chapter,
we're
but
under
Ultra's
very bright
real.
studio lights. But inside, can you see the illumination?
Paint it yellow or
A
black
little
or
bit.
whatever.
There's some really great pictures that you'll be able to see
Oh,
later.
don't tell me
But
the eyes light up.
I feel like a Space Marine already. This is
I
just
feel like I'm
the
standing
best.
next to a Space Marine. It's
If
incredible.
the eyes
it's
light
never
up, that'd be
felt so
really
good
cool.
to feel like Lieutenant Titus. So the lenses inside illuminate. You can buy it with this lovely display stand as well. This is the Mark 10 helmet stand. It looks like something straight out of.
That's right, they're going after the have they been going after cosplay creators?
Space Marine might put
Like,
his war gear,
seriously? Have they
when
been
he's
doing
finished,
that?
on campaign? It's your choice whether you want to get the helmet separately or with that. But I've had this in my office for quite a while, and it looks really cool. When can you get your hands on it? I guess is the question.
When can I get my hands on it, Adam?
I'm glad you asked. The answer is when this preview show is done, the pre-orders begin. So you'll be able
cool.
to go to warhammermerch.com and pre-order it. So
The eyes do light up.
yeah, I'm just over the moon to see this in the flesh, in real world. Very, very exciting. We're still not done with Warhammer 40,000. We need to go to Kill Team, to the Kill Team.
Okay. Oh, new Necrons. Oh yeah, it's the Death Watch and Necrons kit. Ah, there it is. New Death Watch Death Watch veteran kill team. Finally.
So, an amazing new box for Kill Team, a new expansion, 2 brand new kill teams, a new kill zone, some incredible miniatures. Let's take a look. This is Kill Team Tomb World, and you get absolutely loads in this box.
It's just bursting with cool
This
stuff, right?
might be might be the best kill team box we've released. It's
bold
way up
claim,
there.
and I
isn't it?
struggle
it's
to
up there,
argue.
It's up there.
All right, show us what
There's some
it
beautiful
got,
stuff in
what it's
here.
got.
I mean, if we talk about the battlefield first, you've got some absolutely amazing.
Lock the fuck in
Necron
right now.
scenery
Death Watch are
a little bit
getting something
like
new.
The Into the Dark scenery we saw
Yeah, absolutely.
a little while back, and certainly allows you to play games in that same sort of style. Doesn't replace it necessarily. But
It's
allows you
it's
to
two
play that
squads,
kind of
and the
confined,
squads are like
close
face
battle.
off against each other.
Really thematic. You've got the kind of undead Necron crypts as the warriors wake from their eons long slumber. But the kill teams themselves are probably where the real excitement is. So if we start off with the Death Watch kill team, this is the return of the original kill team. The name kill team itself comes from the concept of Death Watch, and they have come out with an amazing new range of miniatures. There are 10 of these guys in the box. You can build them in a whole range of different ways, and there are some lovely features. Adam, have you got any favourites for the mix?
Okay, it's a
I'm all about
box
the
of
big fight now,
10.
right? So, sort of bottom right, you have a Flesh Terrier holding a frag cannon, because that's the best way to greet the Xenos, right? Yeah, you can't really go wrong. I called him out as a Flesh Terrier because I happen to know he is. One of the things that's really striking about this set is that there's loads of different heraldic devices available.
Some quite obscure chapters as well.
Yeah, I mean, so Flesh Terriers are perhaps not obscure, but they're not necessarily what you might expect.
They look really
for
good,
example,
too.
Top centre, that's a member of the Wolf Spears, which is one of the few successors to the.
Hey,
Space
Wolf
Force
Spears
chapter.
mentioned.
You've got an Ultramarine on the right-hand side. The crossed swords on the one bottom left, I think, is probably making him a Guardian of the Covenant.
I think you might be right. You might be right.
And as a Dark Angels collector, that's quite exciting.
We had a fun game earlier on where we tried to guess all the different chapters.
Yeah.
A red scorpion in there as well that you can't quite.
What I
make
want to know is
them out, but
what are they
There's
going to do
5
with
more,
they're mixing
that you
armor
can see here.
types. How are they
So,
going to handle
If
that?
you see any that are a chapter that you're interested in, shout them out in the chat. I think the top middle guy is going to get some attention because there's a lot of fans for those guys. Loads of options, loads of different specializations for your kill team to be built with. They really are the personification of pick the right weapon for the job when you start your game.
And when you play kill team, the way that this, any kill team works is that you have a roster of different warriors, and then you can choose the ones you want before your game starts. You get 10 models in this box to make your kill team. You've got loads of different options, and then you choose before each game. Your kill team in game will be 5 of those warriors, and you can pick any 5 you want.
I mean, check it out with the underslung grenade launcher and all of the grenades just in the harness.
I'm loving the heavy
basically a
bolt
mix
rifle
of
with the
Gravis
underslung
and
grenade
Phobos
launcher.
and
That's
Tacticus
cool as
as well.
shit.
So that's a Gravis, effectively a heavy intercessor archetype, but he's even more upgunned than you might expect a normal heavy intercessor to be, which have already got quite big guns. In game terms, the Death Watch have got all sorts of specialist Xenos killing kit, but one of their things is effectively in each turning point you can choose one of them to use a special piece of ammunition, and you can basically pick a special rule for that gun to have, so it can be blast or precision or extra AP or something like that. So that a kind of quite long-standing concept of them having the ammunition to do exactly the job you need them to do makes its way into kill team, as well as them just being pretty good all-round Space Marines, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But they're not the only thing in the kit, although you might excuse our enthusiasm for thinking so. There's also the Canoptic Circle. These are the Necron guardians of this tomb complex. Essentially, their job has been to oversee the reanimation protocols of all of the Necrons that you see in these alcoves. We'll show you some more of the terrain in a bit. And so these are the sentinels that are ready to now sort of attack the interlopers.
Yeah. And they were just going about their business, waking up all the Necrons, and all of a sudden this very rude kill team of Death Watch burst into their crypt and decided to start.
Well, I mean, they should have been the Xenos, and the Death Watch wouldn't have burst in.
Mobilize against them. It is a very powerful kill team.
Hellfire rounds, your beloved, yeah.
Canoptek Circle. It is led by a Geomancer, which is a type of Cryptek. That's the model you can see there. She is the leader of the warband, and she definitely kind of is the core of the force. Right?
Oh, neat. Female Necron.
She's big and powerful.
She's big and powerful, yeah. She
I mean, it's
alone
kind of
can
hard
take
to tell
on
with
a Space
Necrons
Marine,
because
but
they're all
the other
metal
troops in
skeletons,
her,
but yeah.
Force need her to kind of be at the center to kind of coordinate the efforts. You've got a few different other models in the mix there as well. As the Geomancer, you have...
Oh, yeah, that one poor Necron warrior there, just like, I'm here, you know, poor
the
guy.
larger thing on the left-hand side with the guns on the top is the Tomb Crawler.
Yep.
Then sort of the right-hand, and there's another one sort of central to the right-hand side. Then the smaller things, they are your reanimators or your warriors. So normally, day to day, they're just fooling around, making sure everything's safe.
They're still
Necrons, but you know, when,
they still might
Death Watch
tease
come
them,
they
Matthew. But the
can shoot
fact they're not
the crawlers have
being
got some
shown yet
particularly
is
formidable
significant.
weaponry, right? So like they're up against. The
They're
Death
being
Watch kill
very
team, so,
cagey with it.
the guns on those can take out a Space Marine if they get a good, solid round of firepower. They
Yeah,
are one of the. You've got your kind of central character.
Just
which
check the
does all
pelvis
kind of
bones. They
utility
don't
stuff,
have
and then you've got
bones.
two
They're made
really
of
good
metal.
solid gun
And that one's a
platforms, and then
snake
you've got
from the
rest of
waist
the
down. So
force
yeah,
which whizzes
or
around
like a
and
centipede.
takes
But
stuff.
you get
It's
it.
a really flexible.
Necron
little
Dami
team.
Mommy. Listen,
Also worth pointing
I
out
know
that
they're
the box has a bunch of Necron
the
warriors.
only thing
Why does it have a
faster
bunch of
than
Necron
light
warriors?
is
You
Rule
might ask, they're
34
not in the kill
artists.
team.
That thing's
Well,
gonna have porn
one of
drawn
the other
before the
things
day
you
is
can get
out.
inside this box is rules for playing basically co-op missions where you both play as Deathwatch and you're up against hordes, undying hordes of Necron warriors. As they
joint operations is super
Custodes
fun,
got to be last,
and,
probably. Yeah.
The chance to do
They'll
this
probably
as a
tease them
Deathwatch kill
last.
team, sort of stalking around a Necron, awakening Necron tomb complex is almost too appealing to say no to.
and just a great other way of playing the game.
I'm going to totally jump on it. Have a look around this board, and you can see in some of those alcoves.
Commissar, this man right here. Listen, you can't stop Rule 34 artists any more than you can stop the sun from rising. Okay.
And masonry, you can imagine. They've been asleep for so long that seismic events, whatever, of course, needs to fall down.
The Lone
Plus,
Warrior should
and
just be
all
named
made
Jeff.
with
No,
everything
I agree with that. Jeff the
yeah,
Necron.
this is-
He's just here trying to
This is
help.
Peak Warhammer adventures in a tomb complex. I love it.
And of course, both of these kill teams will be usable in Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
There'll be a way to use your Deathwatch in that game as well, and your new Necrons. And of course, there is a new book, a new dossier that comes with this, which has all the rules you need to play these in your games of kill teams.
Yeah, let's have a look at some of them in the flesh. It comes in a box. There you go. Let's have a look at some of these in the flesh. In particular, it'd be good to get the Geomancer in because that gives a sense of the scale. So my favourite with the frag cannon. But when you put the Geomancer,
What I don't know is how are they going to do the mixed armor and the kill team in 40k? That's what I want to know. Because you can use all these in 40k. That's how it's supposed to work.
So when we learned that the Geomancer was, in fact, a lady. If you haven't already twigged yet, this is a raptor, this guy. So you get a nice mix of scale from, obviously, the Geomancer and the Reanimators on the sides. Loads of stuff to feast on. This is going to be a very exciting time for Kill Team. I think the Deathwatch are very popular with lots of fans, and they're so iconic within the concept of Kill Team.
I think.
I like they're acknowledging the importance of Deathwatch after you almost killed them this edition.
Sort of re-emerged into the consciousness.
Absolutely. Right. I think we've done it.
I think we've done it.
We're around the 90-minute mark. I did say it would be a long one, but we've shown you all of our Warhammer previews.
Okay.
We should go to question corner. That was good prompt. Well done. Simon, there's probably a question or three, right?
There's quite
Maybe
a
the
few.
characters.
Yeah,
No, the
do you
kill
want
team
some
units
rapid
are
fires to get you going?
generic
Let's see what we can do.
squads
We're within 12.
in 40k.
Okay, let's go.
So this would be
Are the new
basically
Tomb
the
King
new
minis
Deathwatch,
resin or
generic
plastic?
Deathwatch
Multi-part
veteran kill
plastic.
team in
Let's
40k.
go
That's how
with
that would
the
work.
Kill Team Tomb World. Is the new Necron terrain similar in dimension to the Gallodark terrain?
It is similar. I don't think it's exactly the same.
Yeah, Gallo Dark would be a good reference point.
So we've got Warhammer Underworlds. Will the new warbands or any of the re-released Grand Alliance warbands be receiving rules to use them in Warhammer Age of Sigmar?
I believe you can use all of them in Age of Sigmar, can't you? I don't want to. You certainly.
Let's see the bell-shaped
I'm not going to commit. There you go. Show my face as a face of non-committal.
One thing that is worth saying is that quite a lot of the new battle tomes have a place for the Warhammer Underworlds warbands as generic archetypes of that thing. So the Gloomspite Gits, for example, you've got a place for the wolves.
I think that's a more comprehensive answer.
That's
Eddie,
probably the place that you're.
That is such a non-committal answer.
Yeah, that's fair. The Hellsmiths are going into Warcraft. We said that already.
Well, until the stream ends,
the Adepts of Astartes.
I won't be wrong until. Wait.
Does Subadin Khan have a helmeted option?
He does have a helmeted option.
We have not seen the until the stream ends. Then we don't know.
When you're
Well,
riding free
until the stream ends, we won't know if they'll show anything. They may preview it at the very end. We don't know.
Yeah.
They've got reinforced skulls. I'm sure they'll be fine. So where can we expect to see the lore and rules for the shiny new characters?
That is a great question.
That's a good question.
So the rules will be available online.
So some of the rules, if the character is being re-released, already exist in
that's
Space
true.
Marine.
So Darnath, Lysander,
yeah,
covered
Vulcan
up
and
already.
Lysander are already there. The other rules will be available online.
And I'm really glad you asked about the lore because I know a thing. Phil Kelly from the Warhammer 40,000 lore team came and had a chat with me, and they've written full background for each of these characters and narrative stories, which we'll be hosting on Warhammer Community in the week leading up to their release when that happens. I'm super excited because I don't know anything about Aethon Shan and I want to learn his story. So yes, there we go.
Awesome. So we've got two more quick ones if we can. So the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness, are some of the Wargate options that are currently no longer available to certain units ever going to be revisited?
So that's a good question. So we do know that there will be more things released in plastic across the course of this edition. With some of those plastic kits, you may see war gear options returning.
New Vulcan model is sick. Yeah, no, it's really good. Yeah,
you might
I like
also
it.
see
I
some
love
war gear
it.
options that have never existed before added to those units. So hopefully that answers some of the question.
Yeah, Grant. One last one was on the Scouring. How many books can we expect to see in the series?
At least one, because it's got the number 1 on the side of it. I don't want to steal the thunder of any future sort of news from Black Library other than to announce it today. But what they have told us, and it was one of the best conversations of my professional life ever, to sit down with the editing team from Black Library as they sort of poured the Scouring lore into my open brain, was this is a multi-book, multi-author series, and so
Horus Heresy Damage Control has been engaged. Yeah, really.
Grant,
There
yeah.
we go.
Well, there's bazillions more questions that I couldn't possibly get to. They're scrolling past so quick. It's all I could do to find the ones I got. But yeah, thanks.
That's great. What remains, I guess, at this point in the juncture is, first of all, to thank all of you for tuning in and spending 90 minutes of brilliant Warhammer fun with us. I've really enjoyed myself.
I had a great time. I always have a great time.
Awesome. There's some general housekeeping to do. If you've missed anything in this and you want to know more, go to warhammercommunity.com, read the articles that are there on the website. There's pictures, there's more information than Eddie and I would have remembered to tell you, and you can watch the videos back as well. If you are looking for more Warhammer excitement right now in your life, we're going to throw back to Tacoma, where there's Warhammer 40,000 tournament taking place, I believe, right now is what we're going back
there's
to.
gonna be any last-second teases, though.
You can hang around here, especially on the Twitch channel. I believe that is true. What else is there to say? The helmet. Go and find it on warhammermerch.com. I think we're done.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Brilliant. Right. Thank you, Simon, for asking questions. Thanks to the crew here who've made it all work. Eddie, it's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
We can't wait to see you again next time. Take care.
Oh, that's just it? Okay. So yeah, no, they were super cagey about Custodes still. But the stuff they did show was really good. You know, for, like all the, the 40K stuff, Age of Sigmar stuff, the Old World stuff. And for the record, I count the, what do you call it? I count the, Chaos Dwarfs in the, Old World stuff. All right, let's go back to here real quick. One moment. I need to do something very quick here. Just need to make a smug post real quick. One moment. There we go. You can all check my Twitter if you want to see what I posted. Yeah, so, yeah, lol, no femstones. Yeah, still none. They're so deathly afraid of showing Custodes off. Like, it's really weird. It is honestly really weird how cagey they're being about it. Someone tell me you don't have Twitter. It's just a funny meme. I just put up a funny meme. Spamming F5 on the Twitter page. Year of Chaos, they just showed peak loyalist. Yeah, real. Fucking real. I feel kind of bad for Chaos fans, if I'm being honest. Yeah, how long have we been going? We've been going about 3 hours now. You know what? I feel like that's a pretty safe place to end the stream. You know, I will say closing thoughts. Like the Old World, the new Tomb King stuff look good. What do you call it? The Leagues of Votan look really good. The new Space Marine characters look good. Loving the new Death Watch kill team. That looks great. Age of Sigmar, kind of meh. The Chaos Dwarves, pretty good looking. They'll be great. They'll be great old world models. Underworlds, also kind of meh. Also the Legions Imperialis stuff look the whirlwinds and heavy tanks look cool. Again, yeah, the actual Horus Heresy proper games model reveals kind of slim. Just the really was just the Mark II Jump Marines. They're being very cagey with Horus Heresy right now. I think it's because they're trying not to cause a controversy. So yeah, but as it stands, female Custodes are not canon still. So give me one moment, everyone, really quick. Just want to check something, and then we will be probably rating somebody on the Twitch end of things. All right, who am I following who is currently streaming? All right, you know what? For those of you on the Twitch end of things, I'm sending you to watch Kirsch. So, hold on really quick while I go over to Twitch and set that up. So yeah, while I'm setting this up, I will say, thank you for coming. Let me open up the chat here. Am I spelling that right? Yep. Okay. Sending y'all to watch Kirsch be Kirsch, because Kirsch is cool. I will see y'all tomorrow. I'm gonna be playing Peak with the guys. The game Peak, to be specific. So yeah, I will see y'all then. It'll be 5 p.m. tomorrow. That's Ash sending me a bunch of messages. I will catch you later. Take care, everyone, and have a good day. Later.